please mute your mic and open it only when term of your speech is to come. Otherwise, you keep your mic always on mute mode. Thank you very much. And now I request the today's convener, Madam, to start the proceeding.
Thank you, sir. Very good evening to everyone present. Honorable President, Professor P.S. Tiwari, sir. Guest of honor, Professor K.N. Uday Kumar, Dr. Lakhvir Singh Gill, and Professor Sangu Yadin. Chief guest, Professor Salahuddin Qureshi. Distinguished guest, Professor Parvin Saptarthi, Head of the Department of Geography, Professor Jubilee Sahoria. Honorable speakers, Professor Apani Kumar Bhagavati, Professor Ashok Kumar Bhara, and Professor Vimal Kumar Kaur. Professor Devendra P. Singh, who is the key person of the organization of the event, distinguished guests present, ladies and gentlemen. I have the honor and privilege to welcome you all to the 25th episode of the lecture series on founders and makers of modern geography in India, being held today in online mode to celebrate the founders of geography education in Northeast India. We are fortunate that today's episode of lecture is dedicated to the founders of the Department of Geography, Gauhati University, Professor Prasanna Das, Professor Minadhar Barthakur, and Professor Mohammed. Established in 1948 as an undergraduate department, the Department of Geography, Gauhati University, is one of the oldest geography departments of the country. From a modest beginning, the department has flourished to reach its present status because of the untiring effort of the faculty members and the great potentiality possessed by this part of the country for geography education and research. India's northeast, the initial hinterland of the department, continued to be the terra incognita even after country's independence. This naturally poised before the department an intellectual challenge to unravel the marvels of the region's nature and culture. Directed thus by the prevalent situation, curiosity and compulsion, the then faculties of the department decided to set a goal, rather a mission, towards understanding geographical fabric of the region. Professor Prasanna Das took the steering of the nascent department, and he had been able to raise it to a position of postgraduate department in 1958. Professor Prasanna Das, Professor Minadhar Barthakur, and Professor Mohammed Taher together shaped and supported the growth of the postgraduate department like a tripod. Eventually, Professor D. Bhattacharya, Professor Mk Vanderbilt, Professor D.K. Singh, Professor P. Sen, Professor S. Paul, Professor M.C. Bhuya, and Professor P. Deka served the department for short duration at different points in the initial stage. Professor H.P. Das, Professor M. Barthakur, Professor Taher, Professor N.N. Bhattacharya, Professor H.N. Sharma, Professor M.M. Das, Professor D.C. Goswami, Professor R. Dorman, Professor L. Datta, Professor S.P. Sharma, and Professor A.K. Bhagavati contributed to teaching and research up till their retirement in this department. Currently, the department has 9 faculties, with Professor Jubilee Sahoria as the head of the department. Professor Ashok Kumar Bhara, Professor Vimal Kumar Kaur, Professor Anup Saikia, Professor Madhushri Das, Professor Prasanna Bhattacharya, Dr. Nityananda Deka, Dr. Manoj Jyotinath, and Dr. Dhanjit Deka are the other faculty members of the department. Let us today cherish the contributions of the founders of the Department of Geography, Gauhati University, and humbly acknowledge their roles toward the development of the subject geography in Northeast India in particular and the country at large. May I now request Professor Jubilee Sahoria, the head of the Department of Geography, Gauhati University, to kindly deliver his welcome address. It's over to you, Professor Sahoria.
Very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I would like to welcome you all present here to this 25th edition of online lecture series, that is Founders and Makers of Modern Geography in India. We are really overwhelmed by your presence in this online mode. Distinguished Professor P.S. Tiwari sir, Chief Guest Professor Salahuddin Qureshi from Aligarh Muslim University, distinguished guest Professor Praveen Saptarshi from Savitribai Phule Pune University, guest of honor Professor K. N. Uday Kumar from Mysore University, Dr. Laghbir Singh Gill, the General Secretary of Association of Punjab Geographers, Punjab, distinguished speakers of this session, Professor Mk Vanderbilt, Professor Ashok Kumar Bhara, Professor Vimal Kumar Kaur. The organizer behind the whole episode is Professor Devendra P. Singh and other technical support team. So I welcome you all to this session. I believe that this is probably one of the most innovative lecture series developed in the post-lockdown period in India, and this not only give us the opportunity to know the individual contributors of the department or the makers of modern geography, but also to understand the background and the region and the contribution by the different contributors towards making the geography as a subject in our country. So I believe that these discussions, all the researchers, the faculty members, and the practitioners of geography across the country will be benefited by this lecture series. And whatever, and especially whenever we consider the geography of Northeast India, the Department of Geography, Gauhati University is the pioneer in making the path for geography education in Northeast India, established in 1948. And we have today we are going to discuss three of our path bearers, that is Professor Prasanna Das, Professor Minadhar Barthakur, and Professor Mohammed Taher sir. So I believe that our speakers will enlighten their lives and contributions of these teachers of our department. And our speaker, one of our speaker, Professor Mk Vanderbilt, who is retired recently from our department, probably the last flag bearers of that legacy we have from the days of Professor Prasanna Das. We believe that this will help us in growing collaborations across the different departments of the state as well as the geographers in the country. Welcome you again to the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Soharia. I'll now request Dr. Sahela Jamal, Associate Professor of Aligarh Muslim University, for condolence speech of late Professor Dr. Abha Lakshmi Singh. Over to you, Madam.
Kindly unmute yourself.
Good evening, Adab and Namaskar to everyone, the dignitaries who are present here. I'm Saliha Jamal from Aligarh Muslim University. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this meet, especially the Devendra Prasad Singh sir, who has contacted yesterday and asked to present a condolence speech about Professor Abha Lakshmi Singh ma'am. I feel privileged and I am here because of Professor Abha Lakshmi ma'am, because I am the student of Professor Abha Lakshmi Singh ma'am. So I am going to give a speech, memorial gems of Professor Abha Lakshmi Singh ma'am before you all. And for this first of all word, I will present something in picture format I want to share among you all, through which we can memorize her and had a glimpse of her among you all. It is very difficult, I can say. Is the screen shared, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, okay. It is very difficult to believe for all of us that Professor Abha...
Can you make it a full screen? If you can make it full screen.
The slides are not moving. I don't know why the network problem is that in full screen. I have checked before also, there was another lecture. But in that, in full screen, the slides was not moving. That's the
It's
problem
okay.
is going
It's
on. That's
okay.
why.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
So it is very difficult for all of us. We know that to believe that Professor Abha Lakshmi Singh, ma'am, is not among us, who is considered as Dawn of Indian Geography. I have been closely linked with her from last 16 years, first as her student at postgraduate level, then as her research scholar, then as her colleague, then I can say as her considered doctor as always. She was not only my teacher, but I can say she was my guru in real sense, mother, and pillar of strength at every occasion. The vacuum which has been created by her after her demise will never be filled. So it is a very brief tribute to Professor Abha Lakshmi Singh, ma'am, starting with her life.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, yes.
This is 1st September 2007 or 2022?
Oh, sorry. 20. Yes, yes. 20.
1946, 1st September.
Yes, yes, yes.
It is not 2007, it is 2022.
22,
Yes,
2022.
yes. Sorry for that. Because I that got very
Thank you.
short. एक सूरज था सितारों के घराने से उठा, आंखें हैरान है क्या शख्स जमाने से उठा. A tribute to Professor Abha Lakshmi Singh, ma'am. She was born in a humble family on 6th July 1946 in Lucknow. She did both her high school in 1963 and intermediate in 1965 from St. Mary's Convent and St. Mary's College from Allahabad. She graduated from Allahabad University in 1967, post-graduation, MPhil, and completed her PhD from Aligarh Muslim University. Further, in 1978, she joined the Department of Geography, Aligarh Muslim University, as a temporary lecturer and permanent lecturer in 1982. Reader in 1985, professor in 1991, head of the department in 1995, Dean Faculty of Science in 2010. Under her stewardship, the department got a place at national and international level. Geography, and in particular the field geography, was her love. She believed in a field geographer. She learned geographical philosophy from Professor Mohammed sir, which he has learned at London School of Economics. Ma'am's personality had a permanent influence of her research supervisor, Professor Mohammed sir, a leading light in geography, and she herself became the true representative of her name, Abha, meaning light. Her PhD degree on thesis, Wasteland in Aligarh district, the first of its kind in India, a micro-level study based on the field work. She boasts a brilliant portfolio. She has published 15 books, 168 research papers on issues related to land, agriculture, environment, urban, health. She has completed 9 research projects, out of which national and international are the credit to her. She had presided over the meetings of national and international level of importance. Her work has won many laurels like that fellowship. I can say citations for the outstanding contribution in the field of environmental issues by CLUMA, NRSA, DOS, Basic Science Research Award by the UGC, Professor Emeritus by UGC, National Fellowship. Her notable work included various research projects that was sponsored by the London, I can say UGC, DST, Leipzig, Germany. These are all work to her, I can say, to her credit. She has been also conferred with prestigious Lifetime Achievement Awards for her immense contribution in the field of agriculture, environment, urban issues by the Center of Land Use Management, Hyderabad, on the occasion of 41 Geography Conference, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh. She has been conferred with Bhugol Vachaspati Award also by the National Association of Geographers that was organized at Banaras Hindu University. Self-discipline, punctuality, hard work, management of time, and people around paved the way for her success. She used to enter the class at the stroke of the bell. Her lectures were so engrossing That one period appeared to be too short and always left an appetite for knowing more. She had the interest of a student at heart. After her retirement, she remained suitably active, fully involved, and full of vigor in writing books and delivering lectures. Affectionate, gentle, caring, down to earth, principled. That is how I would describe my ma'am. Her commitment to her students, colleagues, and to her work was unparalleled. My last meeting with her was at hospital on 20th August. She was admitted in Aligarh, and then she was shifted to Delhi for her treatment. And on 1st September, at 8 she left
No.
for heavenly. She is survived by her daughter, son-in-law, her sister, brother-in-law, and two grandsons, students, colleagues, and friends who fondly remember her. May the family members have the strength to bear the loss. I feel privileged to have been a student of Professor Abha Lakshmi Singh, and her teachings will be my permanent possessions. I, on my part, shall endeavor with all my might to keep the flame lit by her aloft. Continuing with this, I may show I am here with some of her memories. I can say her personality, and she was having a very effective personality. You can see here how she used to respect her gurus, her teachers. She is felicitating her guru Savinder Singh in this photograph. She is felicitating her guru Professor Safi sir, Mehndi Raza sir. She used to respect with full heart to her gurus. You can see here. There are some glimpses of the conference. I can say she was conducted in 1997 international conference in which a number of international delegates took part. The glimpse I am showing here, you can see here. She is standing with her guru, Professor Mohammed Shafi sir, and her colleagues. This was a national conference in which she also felicitated her guru. You can see here behind how she is smiling and she is how much happy while felicitating her guru. So she holds such a personality and respect for her gurus. And in all the photos, you can see how she is presiding over the different academic.
Then the slide went off actually. You can't see the slide.
We are not able to see the slides.
Yeah.
No, it's on already in different ID. Yeah.
No, in same ID. That is.
Yeah.
Is it visible? May I continue?
It's not visible, but you can continue.
But I have shared with the same ID. I don't know why it is not visible. You can see here how she is visiting field. She is visiting with all her colleagues as she has the first love and she loves the geography as a field geography. You can see during the research, during the visit, she has organized a visit of all the international delegates to the villages of Aligarh. Another conference that were organized in 2007. You can see the glimpse here, organized by her. These are all the memories I can show to you that the conference that was organized by her in 2007, decided by the, you can see here, various dignitaries. Even you can see here his guru and even Salahuddin Qureshi sir also in this memory. These are all of 2006, I can say. Again, you can see another glimpse of that. See how she is standing, she with her scholars behind. Not only her associations are limited to the geographers of the India, but her limits are beyond the boundary also. See her associations with the geographers at global level. In this picture, you can clearly see her associations with the geographers at global level. She was the researcher. She was a researcher who starts her work from the field and completes her work towards the policy making. She is here in this picture. She is presenting all her work to the DM Aligarh, so it can be used for the further policy making for the city. So she is presenting all her work. This is another picture where she visited University of Jammu. This is a very memorable picture where Professor Majid Hussain sir and Professor Abha Lakshmi Singh ma'am is lighting the lamp in that conference.
Why the slides are not seen? They are not being projected.
Sir, but I don't know, in my script it appears that it is moving with all of you. I will stop and share it again.
Yeah. It's okay, ma'am.
The slides are not visible.
Now is it visible?
Still no. Now yes.
Visible, sir?
Yes, visible now.
Yes,
Okay.
they are visible now.
So this is, I think I have shown very fast. So this is the picture where it is associated with the foreign, I have said, the geographers at global level. You can see here. This is the picture which I talked about, but the slides were not visible, where she is presenting all her work which she has done on Aligarh city to the DM Aligarh, so it can be used in policy making. So I can say she's a complete geographer from field up to the policy making, I can say. This is another picture when she visited Jammu University, very memorable picture where Professor Majid Hussain sir and Abha Lakshmi Singh ma'am is lighting the lamp, I can say here. This is another picture that was a lecture organized in Patna. This is a picture she shared with Nitish sir. Recently, she visited again to the geographers meet and she had a lecture over there. Already you all must be having this picture, but still I have kept here. So this is the recent one where she visited. This is the photograph where she was awarded for the lifetime achievement in Sagar University by Pluma. This is the picture where she is receiving award of Bhugol Vachaspati Award in Banaras Hindu University by Nagi. Coming to her bit personal life, she is mainly survived by her only daughter, Dr. Avantika, her sister, her son-in-law, brother-in-law, and two grandsons. This is her family photograph, the family. Coming to her bit personal life, I can say here, these are the photographs of 2009, I can say, with her research scholars, how she used to take the full responsibility of the research scholar, not only academically, but making them a more responsible human being devoted to academics and all to the other spheres of life. These are again, I can say, you can see here the photographs of different scholars which are now present in the different corners of India. You can see here another photograph. You can see here Professor Atiq sir, Shahab sir, Harun sir, Mansoor sir. Then that is Professor Asghar sir from the Jammu University. Myself. This is a bit another memory from the Jamia Millia Islamia, where this group photograph have been taken. And again, all her scholars and Professor Siddiqui sir also here present. You can see here. These are the photographs. This is the book, last book, which she has authored. And one of the book is already in function and going on, a bit left to be completed, but it will be completed soon. So this is the last photograph, and this is the last photograph which I shared during her birthday on 6th July of this year only. She was cutting her cake on 6th July of this year only, and she shared this photograph with my daughters also. So these are the few of her memories which I wanted to put forward, and rest of the things I can say that to whom किसी से भी जिससे भी उनकी मुलाकात हुई है वो उनके प्रभाव से मतलब उनकी पर्सनालिटी से प्रभावित हमेशा हुआ है. चीजें ये है कि आप किसी भी बात से एग्री डिसएग्री कर सकते थे, लेकिन उनकी पर्सनालिटी से प्रभावित हर कोई होता था. So she was In real sense, she has enlightened the world of academia. He has enlightened the lives of many of her students and various other peoples associated to her. So this is a tribute from, we can say, from the family, from the students, from all of us, from our dear Professor Abha Lakshmi Singh. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jamal. May I now request all distinguished guests and dignitaries to kindly rise in their position and pray for the departed soul for 1 minute. Thank you. May I now request Professor Dr. V.V. Srivastava, Professor Emeritus, Deen Dayal Upadhyay University, Gorakhpur, for Silver Jubilee speech. Sir, it's over to you. Professor V.K. Srivastava, sir. I request you, sir, Professor V.K. Srivastava, sir, to kindly deliver your Silver Jubilee speech.
Professor Srivastava sir is using the.
Yes, sir is in the meeting. I can see he is in the meeting. I don't know.
I think Professor DP Singh can contact him over phone.
He is here and try to.
He is here, but I think please contact him over phone.
Yes, I
He
have.
might join, but he is not here.
Yes, he is here. He is already here.
He has
Professor,
joined, but he will not be here in the meet.
I think he
He
is
might
not
be
being able to
joined, but
connect.
he is not here at this moment.
No, he is
Please,
not being able to connect.
yes, please continue.
क्या हुआ?
देवेंद्र जी, कंडोलेंस over. देवेंद्र जी, हेलो, condolences over. You start the main thing.
Mute करिए सर मैंने.
Please wait. It is.
We've invited Mk Srivastava sir for the lecture, sir. Waiting for him.
Srivastava sir, please deliver your silver Jubilee speech, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think it's so good of you, Dr. Singh, to have asked me to say something about Guwahati episode. Well, I just think, and you have given me quite enough time, but I would only like to remember the relationship between Sagar University, of which I am a student, and Gauhati University and Geography Department. Sagar University, as you know, was the Department of General and Applied Geography, and a large number of students from Guwahati joined Sagar University Department. I remember 3 or 4 instances. Before that, I would like to say that 2 of my teachers at Sagar University, Professor V.C. Mishra and Professor D.K. Singh, they started their teaching career from Guwahati. And from Guwahati, Professor V.C. Mishra directly came to Sagar, and Dr. D.K. Singh later on came from BHU to Sagar University. After that, there was a stream of students coming from Gauhati to Sagar University, Department of General and Applied Geography, taking various courses. The departments are offering MSc in Geography and MSc in Applied Geography also. Now, on this very good occasion, I would like to mention 1 or 2 names for the information of our colleagues. Number 1 was the Professor Dulal Goswami. Professor Dulal Goswami was a student of Sagar University. I met him once in a seminar organized in Guwahati and visited his residence. He later on became the head of the Department of Environmental Sciences in Gauhati University. The second name, sir, which I clearly remember, was one Mr. R.P. Singh. He did his MSc in Applied Geography from Sagar University and later on was employed in a regional planning department in the country. Number 3 was some Mr. Mishra, whom I don't clearly remember the full name. He also had his degree in MSc Applied Geography and later on he went to Australia. And 4th name that comes to my mind is one Mr. Thakur. He also did his MSc in Applied Geography and was later on employed in Regional Planning Institute in the country. Now all this came to my knowledge when once there was a seminar in B. Barua College in Guwahati a few years ago. I don't exactly remember the dates, but all the Sagarians from Guwahati were present in that seminar and they welcomed me, and I was surprised to see all of them together. So on this occasion of Silver Jubilee episode, which is centered on Gauhati University, and Geography Department, I express my gratitude to Dr. Singh for having given me an opportunity to share my experience with Guwahati students, professors and teachers at Guwahati and Sagar both, and my two late teachers, Professor V.C. Mishra and Professor D.K. Singh, who then later on taught me at Sagar. I think this is enough for the occasion that has been given to me. Thank you very much.
Just a minute, sir. Professor Srivastava sahab.
Haan, Jan sir.
NP Iyer sahab also first joined at Guwahati and
yes, right.
from there to Sagar. Just
yes.
one thing. One of my classmates, Jagdish Chandra Chakravarti, did MSc from Geography and was faculty at B. Barua College, Guwahati. Just point. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Srivastava sir and Jawaharlal Jain sir, for letting us know the connections between Guwahati University and Sagar University. We are obliged. Thank you, sir. May I now request Professor Abani Kumar Bhagavati, retired professor of the Department of Geography, Guwahati University, to enlighten us about the life and contribution of Professor Prasanna. Over to you, sir.
Das for inviting me to speak on Professor S.P. At the outset, I just want to tell you.
I request everyone to kindly mute
your also kindly mute your microphone.
Honorable President, Professor. Honorable President, Professor P.S. Tiwari. Chief guest, Professor Kuresi. Distinguished guest, Professor Sotrosi. Guest of honor, Professor Gill, Professor Kumar, Professor Yeden, convener, Professor Modusi Das, fellow speakers, Professor Bhara and Professor Kaur, Professor Saurya, Head of the Department of Geography, Guwahati University, Dr. Nityananda Deka, and Professor Devendra Singh. I offer my love and respect to you all, and many of the participants, senior and junior, they are known to me, and I beg apology. There may be some, some lapses or some shortcomings while presenting my speech on Professor Das. You know that the Guwahati University was established in 1948, and the Geography Department was established just after 1 year, that is in 1949. And in the entire northeastern region, there were no geography teaching in colleges, and there was no university at all. Therefore, there is no question of teaching geography at the university level. Even at the college level also, commercial geography was there, and geography as a discipline as such, it was not there in any of the higher institutions of Northeast India. And you know that the University of Manipur, first Nehu came into being in 1973, then Manipur 1980, and Rajiv Gandhi University 1984, Tripura 1910, and Mizoram 2001. So therefore, all the students from northeastern states, 7 sisters, they used to come to our department, and they imparted geography education from our department. Therefore, actually our department represented the entire northeastern region, and Professor Das was a father figure, and he was known to all the states of northeast, and he tried to introduce geography departments within the state of Assam in the colleges as also other states of northeast. So therefore, the entire northeast, we used to call him the father of geography. So as Professor Modusri has already told you that there were a number of teachers from different parts of the country who actually joined our department here, and at some time they left. Professor Gononathan, he was the actually first professor appointed in our department. He was the first head, Gononathan. Then Professor Mk Iyer, Dilip Kumar Pal, Professor D.K. Singh, Mk Vanderbilt, Vimal Bhattacharjee, Soros Pal, Prabhat Sen, V.C. Mishra, so on and so forth. And we are very happy that almost the entire India was represented those days by our department from the point of view of faculty diversity. And about Professor H.P. Das, I will not take much time, because already I think we have 3 teachers about whom Professor Kaur and Professor Bhara will speak. And these 3 teachers, Professor H.P. Das, Prasanna Das, Professor M. Barthakur, Minadhar Barthakur, and Professor M. Taher, Mohammed Taher. These 3 professors, they introduced postgraduate course in geography, and therefore our people here, they used to call them the tripod of geography, And you cannot say anything about one without referring to the others. So therefore, very rightly, we have chosen these 3 teachers, about these 3 teachers, 3 persons will speak. Now, Professor H.P. Das, actually, myself and Professor H.P. Das, we are from the same village, a very remote interior village. He was born in 1922, February 11. Then his schooling was in Nalbari, a famous, high school in Nalbari, Gordon High School, named after a British. Gordon High School, he matriculated from there in 1939. Then he went to Cotton College, joined Cotton College and did his IA in 1941 from Cotton College. Then he went to Kolkata, joined Vidyasagar College, and he passed BA with distinction with geography in 1944. Then from Calcutta University, he completed his post-graduation in 1946. Then he went to London in 1952 for his doctoral research, obtained his PhD in 1954, came back to Guwahati University again. Then, before that, he joined some colleges here. As I have already said, that there was no geography education in the colleges, commercial geography was there. So he joined, one college, Bhara College first, then Henry Girls College, these 2 colleges he served, and after that he joined Guwahati University in 1949. So he served Guwahati University from 1949, and in 1952 he went to London for his PhD under the supervision of Professor Dudley Stem. Then he came back in 1952, and he became reader in 1958 and professor in 1965. He was Dean of Faculty of Science during 1975-78. Then he was the first rector of our university in 1979, and he was awarded Professor Emeritus by our university in 1993. Then 1994, he retired from the Department of Geography, and he expired 4th June 2003. This is in a nutshell about his, career as well as institutions he served, love and respect he got from people from different parts of northern India. And most important thing is that Professor Das actually proceeded to London to work for his doctoral research. He got a fellowship from the state government and he went there in 1952 and he's completed his PhD within 2.5 years. As I've said, in 1954 he came back to Assam again. Most important thing is, before going to London, he was closely associated with the Department of Forests, Government of Assam. Actually, two forest officers actually provided him all information, all help, and he had some knowledge at least about the forest of Northeast India. At that time, Assam was known as land of jungles, not to speak of other hilly areas. So therefore, somehow he was interested in forest study, and he proposed that to actually Professor Dudley Stamp that he wants to work on the forest resources of Assam. Assam means those days Arunachal Pradesh, then present Assam, then Mizoram, Meghalaya, all these are included. We call it Greater Assam. So Professor L.D. Stamp was also very much interested in forest studies. In 1928, he published a very important paper on the forest of Europe. So therefore, he agreed. Ultimately, actually, they did the work. And I want to read a paragraph on what he did, particularly so far as PhD doctoral research is concerned. Please forgive me, I will just read within 1 or 2 minutes. Professor Das proceeded to London for doctoral research in 1952 by waterway, by sea. After 3 years of his joining the department as lecturer, here in Guwahati University he joined, and after 3 years he went there. He started his work in London School of Economics and Political Science under the supervision of Professor L.D. Stamp. They together identified Forest of Assam as the theme of research. Notably, Professor Das had already developed a good academic background of research in forest resources as he got an opportunity to work with two reputed forest officers, P.D. Tracy and M.C. Jacob, working in the state of Assam. In 1949, Professor Das with Tracy published a booklet titled Assam's Economy and Forest. On the other hand, Professor Stamp was also interested in forest study, and one of his important research papers, The Forest of Europe, was already published in Empire Forestry Journal as back as 1928. Professor Das was thus fortunate enough to be able to formulate a research problem of common interest with his supervisor. The title of his doctoral thesis was The Forest of Assam, a Study in Economic Geography. So far the forest resources and forest-based industries of Assam is concerned, this thesis carries great value. Based on availability of data, Professor Das had brought the states of Assam, Meghalaya, parts of Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram into the purview of his research. While introducing his work, he remarked, the position of Assam as regards forest is very misleading, as all the wastelands owned by government are classified as forests. So those days, the wastelands, the marshes, then, some of the, food areas also, where there are small, bushy vegetations were there, and most of the wetlands, all these were considered as forests. The forest department is regarded by many as one of the oppressive departments of the government. Common people are under the impression that too much land is put under forest in the state, and the sooner it's cleared for agriculture and settlement, the better for all. The result of this misconception is now manifested in the continuous deforestation all over the state. Now the point is this, that not only in the Brahmaputra Valley, in other areas also, most of the areas, as I have said, wasteland, they were classified as forest. Therefore, people thought that a large portion of the entire area is under the forest department. Nobody is allowed to settle down there. Nobody is allowed to clear the forest, and nobody is allowed to actually perform agriculture there. So, forest department was, taken by the people very badly. That these people, they are anti people, and they do not allow us to actually use forest resources, use the so-called forest land for agriculture and all that. He further remarked, the controversial question of Assam's so-called vacant space has completely pushed to the background the utility of forest as a form of land use. So actually, actually, it is quite correct to say that a race for land is on in Assam, and in that race, forestry being left behind, and the mind of the public, because of statistically Assam appears to be one of the most well-forested states of India, the removal of such a complacent attitude about forest resources is the main contention of this thesis. Now the point is this, that you see, people all over the country, the British also, they considered the entire Northeast India as a forested area. Huge amount of forest is there. There is no question of forest conservation. There is no need of study of forest, and there is no need of any kind of planning for conservation of forest. This was the impression at the time, and this led ultimately to a very rigorous process of deforestation in the entire state, and we are facing that particular problem now. In the entire Brahmaputra Valley, which is about 56,000 square kilometer in area, where we have about 23 million people now. In 1901, in 1901, in the Brahmaputra Valley is about 700 kilometer long, 80 kilometer wide, and in the entire Brahmaputra Valley, population was in 1901 about 122 years, it was only 2 million. And in entire Northeast India, population was only 4 million. So out of the total population of Northeast, Brahmaputra Valley had the half of the total population. Population was no doubt very sparse those days. But now if you see the entire Northeast India, then half of the northeastern population live in the Brahmaputra Valley, and density of population is also sometimes more than 500, sometimes in some places it is more than 1,000 per square kilometer. And now we don't have much dense forest area. Whatever tropical rainforest was there, almost removed, and there is, I think, we have not more than 20% of the total land area of Assam under real forest. So this is a historical linkage with people's idea, government's idea those days, and Professor Das actually took up a research on that, and he came out very successfully about the problems, and particularly about the diversity of forest, distribution of forest, then forest resources and forest-based industries during British period, because he did his PhD in 1954 just after independence, and he came out with certain suggestions for conservation of forest. I think that is the first systematic geographical study done on forest, very important forest resource of Northeast India those days. So therefore, and if you just see the thesis, then you will find a lot of maps prepared by him, and a lot of photographs those days, and some of the photographs and maps you can see, I think. Actually, this book, actually, Professor H.P. Das' life and work, his work about his life, all these are included in this book. This was edited by me anyway, and this is the tripod of geography. The three people, Professor Das, Professor Barthakur, and Professor Taher. I wrote a book in Assamese. Then Professor Mohammed Taher, this book again. Then this was again by Professor Taher and I edited. Then Professor S.P. Das, delivering lecture, Professor S.P. Das. Professor S.P. Das, in his young age, along with his wife in 1954. Then I can show you these, these were forest-based industries those days. Live industry, some other industries, and there was large-scale exploitation. And nobody worried about these things. Then these were the means of transport. So some tram railway system was there. In some of the districts of Assam, this kind of system was there just to carry logs to the railway system. Then you can see these are the photographs of Professor S.P. Das' thesis. One elephant carrying a caged rhino. Elephant carrying a caged rhino. Then actually this was the distribution of industries those days, forest-based industries in Northeast India. You can see Arunachal Pradesh vacant almost, Nagaland almost vacant, Manipur almost vacant. So only the Brahmaputra Valley, some industries actually came up. This is the forest type, distribution of forests in Northeast India. This map is very, very important. Nowadays we have about 5 to 6 types of forest. And you can see in this map, some patches of tropical rainforest, evergreen forest. But these forests are no longer there, only small patches of those forests are there. I think this map, prepared by a geographer, is very, very important. So far, the history of deforestation as well as afforestation in the northeastern region is concerned. This map will provide the base to understand what was the situation in 1950s and what is the situation now. We can reconstruct. Now you see that the eco-restoration, take for example the question of ecological restoration. Now it is very, very important. So this map will provide the background knowledge where what kind of forests were distributed where, and on the basis of this we can just go for a restoration of ecosystem in some of the areas of Northeast India. This map is very, very important, and this was a part of his thesis. Now this is his handwriting. He wrote a letter to me, and I'm just showing you his handwriting. His father was a very famous school headmaster in a British school, British established school. He was the headmaster there, and a renowned headmaster in lower part of Assam. And Professor Das was inspired by his father to actually go for the geography study and research. Now, you all know that Professor Das is very famous for his book Geography of Assam. Geography of Assam was published in 1970. Those days, writing a book on this part of the country, Professor Das faced a lot of problems in collecting data on the forest resources of Northeast India those days, but somehow, because of his relation with the forest department, he could do this. And same is the case with the Geography of Assam. When he started writing Geography of Assam, systematically it was very difficult to get information about the physical geography, human geography, migration, culture, then the distribution of population. These things were very, very difficult, but in spite of that, he did a very good work, and that is Geography of Assam. I want to, because this book has a connection with the other books prepared in other parts of the country. So therefore, I will read a small paragraph on this particular book. Professor Das is known to the academic fraternity for his book Geography of Assam, published by National Book Trust in 1970. It is important to note that National Book Trust India took up an ambitious project for bringing out a series of books under the theme India, the Land and People, in order to focus on the geographical diversity of the country. This point is very, very important, because already anthropological survey is there, geological survey was there, botanical survey was there, zoological survey was there, but geographical survey was not there. Geographical survey was not there, so geography was almost unknown. In the true sense of the term, geography was almost unknown. So therefore, these books actually published by, you see, National Book Trust of India is very, very important. It is more important in the context of Assam. Most of the books of this series, the India, Land and People, most of the books of this series were on geography of different states of the country. Professors of geography like S.P. Chatterjee, Professor P. Doyal, C.D. Deshpande, Professor L.S. Bhatt got engaged in writing these books. The responsibility of writing the book on Assam necessarily came to Professor S.P. Das. The great task of editing the series was on Professor S.P. Chatterjee of Calcutta University and Professor George Kurian of Madras University. My senior friends, they will, I think, agree that actually Geography of India, no doubt, Professor R.L. Singh's book is there, Regional Geography of India. But I think about the states, very detailed study about the states was possible under this particular series brought out by NBT. And you can see the editorial responsibility was taken by scholar like Professor S.P. Chatterjee and George Kurian. And this was really, we should remain grateful to these professors who actually prepared this book under great pains. I know about Professor S.P. Das, went through the books, and the entire department was involved in writing this book. Although the writer is Professor S.P. Das, but it was not possible because of the lack of information, lack of data. So the field work, the field knowledge that were actually gained by our professors in the department, Professor Taher, Professor H.N. Sharma, Professor D.K. Singh, Professor Barthakur sir, they helped Professor S.P. Das, and because of their help only, it was in the preface, we can see how he acknowledged the actually help provided by his colleagues. This is very, very important. It was almost a group effort. So Professor S.P. Das, we are grateful to him because of this particular book, and this is referred to not only by the geographers, but everybody used this book. And particularly in Northeast India and other parts of the country also, the anthropologists, the economists, the historian, you see, all people use this particular book, and you will find a lot of references of this book, but unfortunately the second edition of this book was not published. Now, so far the books published by him is concerned, books number is very few, but another book he published in 1964, Forest Resources of Assam. That was initially in Assamese, then parts of it was also published in English. Then one very important thing I want to tell you, so far the history of geography education in Northeast India is concerned, then I must tell you one thing, that the first book in Assamese on geography was written by a history professor, a renowned history professor, Barbuzari, Aramba Barbuzari. He also did his PhD, in Europe, in London University. So, so he prepared the first book, Pravesika Bhugol. That was a book not by a geographer, but by a historian. It was a big challenge to the geographers. Then, because the geographers should prepare geography books, and there also Professor S.P. Chatterjee, when Barbuzari was in Calcutta University, then Professor S.P. Chatterjee encouraged him to write, geography books, because at that time there was no geographer. Therefore, Professor S.P. Chatterjee requested him that you write some books in particular language, local language, so that only then the subject geography will be popular, otherwise not. So it was a challenge for S.P. Das particularly to write books in Assamese for the school students, and he wrote a series of books. I think four books for the 4 classes. Adarsa Bhugol. Adarsa Bhugol, this was published by Macmillan Company, and one of his colleague from other department, from the Department of, I think, Education, Professor K.C. Das, he helped him, and therefore this contribution, particularly writing a geography textbook for the first time in Assamese, it was done by Professor Das, and how difficult it was, because Tamil was particularly Paribhasha, terminology, In Assamese, it was very difficult to find. So how he wrote this book, that is also a miracle. Anyway, we are for that we are grateful to him. And again, when Professor R.L. Singh used to, publish this book, Regional Geography of India, he involved a lot of people throughout the country. It's a great work. That's a memorable, kind of thing he did. And he involved people from different states of India, and he involved Professor H.P. Das from Assam, and Professor H.P. Das contributed two, chapters. One was on Brahmaputra Valley, Assam Valley, and the other was on Meghalaya Plateau. And he was helped by Professor D.K. Singh, Dipa Kishore Singh. He left Guwahati and joined Utkal University, but D.K. Singh was a very popular teacher here. He learned Assamese. He also used to write, textbook for school children in Assamese. And D.K. Singh was a PhD scholar under Professor Das, and D.K. Singh was a co-author of these two chapters, of the book edited by the great Professor R.L. Singh, D.K. Singh, and Professor H.N. Sharma. And so therefore, these three writers, they introduced for the first time, in the whole of India, the regional, identity, regional personality of the valley and the plateau. And they classified the entire valley into different parts, the micro-regionalization. Same is the case with Meghalaya. So these are very, important contributions. Professor H.P. Das actually contributed to geography. And some of the senior professors present here, they know that Professor H.P. Das was the first president of Nagi. And the first conference of Nagi was held in Chandigarh in 1980, January 18. January, I think 17, 18, like that. A group from Guwahati University went there. Professor Das was the president, and he addressed the entire geography community. And his presidential address was on the problem of immigration in Assam, a geographical review and interpretation. I think the voice of concern in that book, edited by perhaps Anu Kapoor, this presidential address is there. This was very, very important. And in the beginning of his address, he said that I am just departing from a general kind of presidential address, because that was a burning issues in Assam those days. In 1979, the foreigners deportation movement was there, and a lot of misunderstanding about the migration of people from other parts of the country as well as other countries to Northeast India, especially Assam. The problem faced by Assam, all these things, the Assam movement started, it was a big movement, as you all know, and Professor Das selected this particular problem as the theme of his presidential address. The address was not a very long one, but my friends, if you go through the address, today also in the morning I went through the address, and what I found, he discussed the causes of immigration. He discussed this, waves and streams of immigration to Assam, Northeast India. And he discussed the consequences. And at last, he suggested certain measures. The measures, still today, if you just see, then these are very relevant, very useful. What he said, the host population in Assam, they must also understand the problem. And the, people coming from outside, they must also understand the problem, and there must be a kind of understanding between the people living here and the people coming from outside to here. They must love and respect the regional identity, the language, the culture of this region, and the host population also should understand the problem, and there should be an amicable solution so that peace may prevail in the entire region. I hope this is a historical document. If you go through, then you will be able to understand what kind of problem a particular region of the country faced. This is very vividly with documents, with data, he substantiated. And I think this address is one of the important contribution of Professor H.P. Das. Now, coming to his research supervision. Those days, there was scarcity of research scholar to carry out research, and also there was problem to get a supervisor. You know, Guwahati University, when the university started, the doctoral research, only few in less than 10 recognized guides were there. And in geography, Professor H.P. Das was the only recognized guide. And Professor M. Barthakur, Minadhar Barthakur, about whom Professor Bhara will speak, he was the first candidate. He was the first scholar of Professor Das, and a beautiful thesis, economic geography of Lakhimpur district. Lakhimpur means now we have about 4 districts now. That was a big district in Upper Assam, and very nicely, very thoroughly, because at those days, people were afraid of. Actually, the supervisor also was not certain whether this will be accepted or rejected by the examiners and the researcher. He was in complete darkness about what will happen. So therefore, they put utmost care, utmost labor, and came up with really a PhD here in Assam, in my university. If you go through the thesis, then you will be able to understand the quality of that particular thesis. So for presentation, so for the content, and so far the suggestion for economic development, the bridge, for example, the Brahmaputra, over the Brahmaputra we have the bridges, and Professor Barthakur suggested, the location of the bridges, where to establish a bridge those days. He was awarded PhD in 1966. He was the first PhD. Then second PhD was Professor D.K. Singh. Professor D.K. Singh was the second PhD. And D.K. Singh, Deepak Kishore Singh. He was for some time in the University of Bristol with Professor Haggett. 6 months he was there. I went to Bristol University, met Professor Haggett. He was telling about, asking me about Professor D.K. Singh. Anyway, D.K. Singh was the second, scholar here, got his PhD. A very good thesis. A good thesis in the sense that he applied, very relevant and very useful, suitable statistical method to analyze, the problem. That was, I think, one of the, what should I say? I don't know. I can't tell anything much about the quality of that particular work. It is a marvelous work, no doubt. But the application of quantitative method in other parts of the country at that time, I think people did not actually dare to apply this kind of statistics. But Professor D.K. Singh did. He had a very good mathematical background. He was a product of Benares Hindu University. He was the second. Third was a man from Manipur, Professor Ansari. In 1973, he did his PhD from here about Manipur. Then Professor Phoni Deka. Phoni Deka actually, he did his masters from this university, again masters from University of Indiana, USA. He started his work there, but then he could not complete there because of shortage of time and shortage of scholarship and all that. He came back, and the final work was done here under the supervision of Professor Das. A very beautiful thesis at that time, using factor analysis and all that, the urban systems of India and urban systems of USA, a comparative study. It was examined by Professor Munish Raja. Munish Raja commented over this thesis, very interesting comments are there, that is also a marvelous, kind of work those days. He was awarded in 1973. Then Professor M.C. Sharma, he was a Bibura College professor, then was the controller and registrar of our university, a very good thesis, structural analysis of the city of Guwahati. I have gone through thoroughly. I reviewed that particular book also. In the book form it is there. He has applied the principal component analysis those days to actually understand, to analyze the structure of the city of Guwahati those days in about 120-page thesis. And it was appreciated like anything. One examiner was A.B. Mukherjee, other examiner was a foreign examiner. They praised like anything. It was a scientific approach to understanding urban geography of Guwahati those days. Very interesting. Then another very interesting, very important work done by Professor M. Das, Professor Monomohan Das, the present agriculture in Assam. Most of us, we know. If you just, agricultural geography, which was initiated in Aligarh Muslim University, then other universities, here also we started, working on agricultural geography because, entire Northeast, we had the shifting cultivation as well as the peasant agriculture in the valley area. So Professor M. Das selected this particular issue and very nicely, and that was not only in our Indian journal but a foreign journal also. That book was reviewed. Professor Das was the supervisor. Then another lady professor, Professor Rahman, Mahfuza Rahman from Cotton College. She did her PhD under the supervision of Professor H.P. Das on medical geography, on a problem medical geography. So these are the actually 7 dissertations, 7 PhD dissertations actually supervised by Professor Das, and some MPhil dissertations were also supervised by him. But then each and every work, it is not that because of him or because of the research scholar alone, but because of the time. That was the time, when people were very, very serious. They were very, very serious about the PhD program and all that. And both, guide and research scholar, they were in sheer doubt that the thesis may be rejected, and there are cases of rejection of thesis. So therefore, because of their perseverance, of their interest and in-depth study, the quality of these theses are really very, very good. So he did a very good PhD thesis under that stamp, and he supervised a few theses, but very good quality thesis. In our department, I don't like to take much time. He was a member of several bodies. He was Vice President of Indian Council of Geographers in 1957-58, President National Association of Geographers, NAGI, 1980, member UGC panel for geography for 3 consecutive terms, member secretary Indian National Science IGU, executive member ICSSR Geography section, and founder president of Northeast India Geographical Society. So we have a society. This is relatively old, and actually we are surprised that in a land like ours, still very remote. So in 1968, our department established this particular society, Northeast India Geographical Society, and Professor Das was the founder president. And there is a background here. In 1968, most of you, I think, know, particularly the senior professors, they know that there was, 23rd International Geography Congress. It was held in New Delhi, and president was S.P. Chatterjee in 1968. And one pre-congress symposium was held in Guwahati, Guwahati University, taking into consideration the entire Northeast India, people from USA, then UK, then Australia, they came here, and our people were very much encouraged, very much inspired by the presence of these big geographers of India as well as the other countries. And our people also thought that why should we not organize, the entire geography people living in Northeast India in a platform? And they ultimately came up with the idea of organizing a society, and the society was known as Northeast India Geographical Society. And we have a journal. That journal is very much recognized and well circulated, and we have large number of members. And Professor Das was the president. Then Professor Barthakur, Professor Taher, they were also presidents. They helped Professor H.P. Das in very many ways. So he was a member of the planning board, state planning board, a member of ICSSR, Northeastern Regional Center. In that way, he was involved in many organization and academic institution and all that. Now I am coming to the last part. Only 2-3 minutes only, because one thing is very important. There may be a scholar, one may be a very big scholar, a big professor, but how he was received by the society at large, that is also very, very important. As a human being, how he was, That is a big question. And that was much more important those days because these people were the leaders. I know Professor S.P. Chatterjee was S.P. Das teacher. S.P. Chatterjee came to Guwahati University, stayed not in the guest house. Guest house was not good. He stayed in the residence of Professor S.P. Das. Then Aral Singh, then Gurudev Singh Ghoshal, then you see Mohammed Safi, all these people used to come to our department, stayed here for examination and PhD thesis examination and all that. And there were always, you know, a good academic relation, as Professor Srivastava was telling about the Sagar University and all that. It was because of S.P. Das only. He was the center figure, and centering around him, there was a pan-Indian relation of our department with other departments. So this is very, very important, and I will read out comments of two great professors. One is Professor Mk Vanderbilt, who actually expressed recently. He started his career work here. He was a classmate of Professor Mohammed Taher. So he came here, what he wrote about Professor S.P. Das. And another, Professor Dulal Chandra Goswami. He is also a renowned professor of geography as well as geomorphology, environmental science. So I will just read out two comments made by them, and after that I shall finish my job. And I just tell you at this moment that I personally had a very close relation with him. And it is not that I and him, between he and myself, you know, we had some relation. My father and his father. My father was educated in Benares, you know, Kasi. And, you know, my father and father of Professor S.P. Das, they were very, very close. I don't take much time telling these things here. I had a very close relation, and I don't know how far I've been able to prosect about Professor Das before you all. Because he was really a father figure, a patriarch really. And he used to love and, you know, respect all the people here. He was, Professor Rana Pratap is here. Professor Rana Pratap was, he came here to Guwahati University and he attended some classes of Professor S.P. Das. He knows about it. And many of you, I think you know about Professor S.P. Das. So the comment of Mk Vanderbilt, I want to read just. It was 6th February 1959 when I arrived at the Barzar Airport, Guwahati. I found my classmate Mohammed Taher standing with another gentleman who welcomed me warmly. Taher introduced him as Dr. S.P. Das, head of the Department of Geography, Guwahati University. At the very first sight, I had an impression that he was a plain and simple man with an open mind. It was beyond my expectation that the head of the department would be coming to airport to receive his would-be colleague. They hired a private taxi from the neighboring village Garigaon by paying 7 rupees for receiving me at the airport and returning to the university campus. No, it was not a small amount. 2 kilos of goat meat. 2 kilos of goat meat could have been purchased by that amount during those days. This was his comment. Then Professor D.C. Goswami, late Professor S.P. Das, our beloved Das sir. He was known as Das sir everywhere. He was a tall figured person, you know, he was known as Professor Das sir. So late Professor Das, our beloved Das sir, was not only an inspiring teacher and a valued mentor to us, and the patriarch of the fraternity of geographers in Northeast India, but also one of those rare personalities on whom was bestowed some of the finest human qualities of head and heart, of intellect and compassion, of love and charity. Starting almost from the scratch, he had built the backbone of higher education in geography in his region by dint of sustained hard work, dexterous leadership, and managerial acumen. The hallmarks of a towering personality were his great magnanimity, disarming simplicity, natural warmth, and an immensely loving and lovable disposition. My namaskar to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kumar Bhagwati sir, for enlightening us about the life, work, and contribution of Professor Prasanna Das sir, the founder professor of Geography, Guwahati University, who was a father figure to all of us, and who took charge of the budding Department of Geography and raised it to the position of postgraduate department in back in 1958. It is equally heartening to know that he was the first president of NAGI. We have all been benefited from your deliberation. We have come to know a lot about Professor Prasanna Das sir. Thank you, sir, for your detailed deliberation. We will now request Professor Ashok Kumar Bhara, Senior Professor of the Department of Geography, Gauhati University. Sir will now enlighten us about Professor Minadhar Barthakur, another founder professor of the Department of Geography, Gauhati University. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Das, convener, Professor P.S. Tewari, President, Professor Salahuddin Qureshi, Chief Guest, Professor Devendra Prasad Singh, then Professor Uday Kumar and Gil, Guest of Honor, Professor Praveen Saptarsi, Distinguished Guest, my teacher, speaker, Professor Mk Vanderbilt, Professor B.K. Kaur, another speaker, our head of the department, Professor Trubojyoti Sohoria, and my colleague in the department, Dr. Nitananda Deka. I have been assigned to present before you the personality, the educational performance, the achievement, and life sketch of Professor Minadhar Barthakur. As Professor A.K. Bhagwati has already expressed that Professor H.P. Das was the founder of the Department of Geography, PG Department of Geography in the year 1958. And in contemporary to him, Professor Barthakur was also very much instrumental in bringing about substantial achievement in the department, and also subsequently Professor M. Taher was there. So these three pillars, Professor H.P. Das, Professor M. Barthakur, Professor Mohammed Taher, were inseparable while talking about the context of foundation of the Department of Geography, Guwahati University. About whom I am to speak, Professor Barthakur, he was born in the year 1924, 17th February, and he was born in a very famous town, Digboi town. Digboi name is well known to all of us because in Digboi, the first oil refinery was in India. First oil refinery was established in the year 1901. It is the oldest oil refinery in the country. And he took his education in the Digboi town itself. His father was Professor Barthakur and mother was Janaki Devi. Professor Barthakur's father was a tree planter. He had a tea estate managed by him. But being a son of a tea estate manager and a tea planter, Professor Barthakur did not make himself involved in tea management, in the tea estate management and tea business, but he came out for higher education. That is a very important, feature of his life. He started his primary education at Assam Oil Company Refinery Primary School. From class 7, he then shifted to one high school, Chenaidam English High School at Tinsukia, where from he did his matriculation in the year 1948, securing first division. Then he joined the Cotton College in ISc course in science and passed in 1951, securing first division. From the Cotton College, he then passed a BSc in 1953 with honors in geology, taking anthropology and chemistry as a past subject. After passing BSc, Professor Barthakur went to Allahabad University. During that time, Allahabad University was one of the famous universities of India. From Allahabad University, he passed MA in the year 1955, securing first class. After completion of his MA, he came to Guwahati and he joined one Guwahati-based college, Pragjyotish College, as a lecturer for a few months. Then in the year 1956, in July, he joined the Department of Geography, Guwahati University as a lecturer. He was then promoted to the post of reader in the same department in 1967. In 1966, 1 year before he became reader, he obtained his PhD degree in 1966 under the guidance of late Professor Prasanna Das. Professor Bhagavati has already elaborated the context of this issue, how Professor Barthakur was laborious and did his untiring efforts in his PhD work. He was then, after acquiring PhD degree, he was then promoted to the post of professor in the department in 1980, and he then became the head of the department. He retired from the department in 1988. So far his specialization of PhD topic is concerned, he did PhD under Professor S.P. Das on a topic, very important topic, a study in economic geography of Lakhimpur. Now, this Lakhimpur is a big district, was a big district during that time. Now it has been divided into 4 districts. Anyway, that district was very underdeveloped district in the northern bank of the Brahmaputra Valley. So that research was very much important because it was a good research work, as Professor Bhagavati has already expressed. The suggestions and findings of the thesis of the research were very much significant. The research paved the way for future, path or future route of research in the field of economic geography, and in that way, the thesis was very much important and valuable. It was divided into 9 chapters. His specialization was economic geography, no doubt, but as a research guide, he developed his interest in research in the field of regional planning and development. And subsequently, he was also interested in teaching and research in climatology, geomorphology also. Under his efficient supervision, as many as 9 PhD scholars have secured PhD under him. Doctor, she is now no more in the department. She was a colleague. Dr. Dhoritri Deka was the first research scholar under him. And she worked under Professor Barthakur on the topic regional analysis of road transport in Brahmaputra Valley, a study of its development and potentials. Till that, there was no such research in the field of transport geography, and that was a very, benchmark work on transport geography in Brahmaputra Valley. Then second thesis was, for second thesis, Dr. Pulokesh Datta was awarded PhD under him. He did his PhD in agricultural geography, agricultural resources of the Brahmaputra Valley, conceptual base for planning and management. Then Dr. Bhagadatta Kumar Das, he did his PhD under Barthakur in social geography, impact of community development. Then Dr. Jyotirmoy Chaudhary, he did his PhD under Barthakur in political geography, politico-historical perspective on of Northeast India. So that was one very important thesis from political geography point of view. Then another, Dr. Joy Kumar Singh, his topic was studies in road transport and potentialities in Manipur. During that time, so many scholars came from Manipur and they joined as in PG course and research scholar. So his work was on Manipur transport geography. Then, however, the Biren Singh, another scholar, he did his work in Manipur, on Manipur in the field of social geography. Then Dr. Supriya Sarkar, the seventh scholar, who was awarded PhD in the year 1989, she did her research in geomorphology of Meghalaya area. That was the only thesis prepared under Professor Barthakur on geomorphology. Then one from Bihar, that is Dr. Arun Sharma, research scholar. He did his PhD in geography of rural development in certain areas of Bihar. He was awarded in the year 1990. And the last research scholar who received PhD degree under Professor Barthakur in the year 1991. And that was again on a river, that is geomorphology of Kapili Basin, Northeast India. This is also a good thesis prepared by Dr. Ranjan Saikia. Now, so far this research work carried out by Professor Barthakur is concerned. As a research guide, Professor Barthakur was very much sincere, meticulous, laborious, sincere and devoted. He actually made the research scholars to work hard, and he did not compromise any other things other than research. Most of his research work was related to regional planning. Out of 9 research scholars under him, 6 research scholars almost they were related to regional planning and development. And in later part of his academic life, he devoted and preparing research papers mostly in regional planning and development. And he taught us regional planning and development also. I was his teacher. And he was expert in 2 fields, regional planning and development and climatology. His climatology class was so much lucid and so much clear that our students are very much happy, and we never forget that. Besides his several publications in the Journal of Gauhati University Journal is there. Then the 21st International Geographical Union of India, in that there was a paper, and his paper was also in Deccan Geographer, and his several papers are published in the Northeastern Geographer. The Northeastern Geographer is a research journal published by Northeast India Geographical Society, and his one important point is that his connection with the Assam Science Society is very much important. That is why he published one very important research paper in the Journal of Assam Science Society. Professor Barthakur, besides his research papers, which are very much valuable and qualitative, he also wrote some geography books, textbooks for students, especially for secondary, higher secondary and degree levels. Among those textbooks, one is very much important, Geography Part 3, covering whole of Asia and India. And that was a very popular book among the students, and it was very much very interestingly written. Then second book, Physical Geography Part 2, both are published. This Part 1 and Part 2 published by the Publication Department of Gauhati University. We have a publication department, and this department is during that time was interested to publish the books in English and Assamese languages, especially for the interest of the students. During those days, textbooks are very rare. So Professor Barthakur actually did a great job to bridge the gap of shortage of this textbook. And his textbooks are very much interesting and still popular among the students. Then another important textbook he wrote, Climatology, for the students of undergraduate course. And it was a very interesting book, and it is a very useful book. As I have told, I have already told that his knowledge in climatology is very much good. So this climatology book is very much analytical and very much useful. All the textbooks written by Professor Barthakur indicate his dedication, labor, and interest for popularizing the subject among the students and among the teachers. And so far these other activities are concerned, organizational activities are concerned, besides heading the department in several development activities, he was very much actively associated with the Northeast India Geographical Society, as Professor Bhagavati has already expressed. Professor Barthakur was one of the founders of Northeast India Geographical Society, and he, which was established in the year 1968. Within 1 year of its establishment, that is very much important. Within 1 year of its establishment, that is within 1968, Professor Barthakur made untiring efforts to publish a research journal, which is now presently, we know, Northeastern Geographer, which has come in, he's appeared in UGC care list now. So it was with the help of Professor M. Das, Professor D.K. Singh. Professor Barthakur was the pioneer to just publish this research work. Professor Barthakur always tried to just carry out the research activities of the department, and he always thought that the academic activities should be always active and vibrant. And he was also a man of very vibrant man, very dynamic man. So because of his quality, the research environment of the department was elevated to a new high. And he was he published this, and Dr. D.K. Singh was the first editor of this journal, Northeastern Geographer. Barthakur was the founder secretary of the NIGS. When it was established, he was the secretary, and Professor H.P. Das was the president. And he several times subsequently, at the later period, he became the president for several times. He delivered good lectures, extension lectures in different parts of Assam and in Northeast India under the banner of Northeast India. So in that way, he traveled around. In the year, he donated a sum of rupees for the NIGS in memory of his wife, Dipali Barthakur. And that actually award was instituted by Northeast India Geographical Society to just award the student, best PG student among the universities of Northeast. So actually he was the first man to just donate or institute the award under the banner of Northeast India, and now Northeast India is carrying out or continuing this award every year. Dr. Barthakur was very closely associated with the Assam Science Society. As you know, that the science education in Assam was lately developed, but during that time, his time, the Assam Science Society was established. And this Assam Science Society worked a lot, did a lot to popularize science in Assam and Northeast India. And we are very much happy that a geographer actually was the first secretary of that Assam Science Society. A geographer was secretary of that society, and one Bigyan Jyoti, one journal of Assamese journal was published by Assam Society in the year 1961, and he was the first editor of that. Barthakur's first editor was of that journal, and we were really proud that a geographer could get the position among the scientists of Assam. In the field of Assamese science literature also, Professor Barthakur's name will be shining always. So far his involvement in the department is concerned, Professor Barthakur was instrumental in many of the significant contributions for the development of the department. Besides his traditional teaching, he actually brought some innovations in geography teaching in the department. In 1980s, he developed a photography laboratory in the department, and there he exhibited some documentary, geography related documentary to the students, so that they can, besides their textbook knowledge, they can earn some knowledge, practical knowledge, field work knowledge, etc. From those documentaries. So that was his initiative. He took this initiative alone. Then he organized some educational events like national level seminars in the department, summer institute in the department under his leadership, which provided recent and then modern knowledge and concept in the subject geography. During his headship, he introduced first MPhil course in Gauhati University. Gauhati University, there was no MPhil course in Gauhati University, but the first MPhil course in geography was introduced in Gauhati University by active involvement of Professor Barthakur in the year 1981. And among the faculty, science, arts, commerce, there was no MPhil course. First MPhil course in geography was there in Gauhati University. And credit goes to him. We always give credit give him credit for this. Then he held some positions. He was honored by appointing visiting professor in Manipur University during 1989 to 90. He was the honorable member of UGC panel of geography. He was the commandant of Guwahati unit of NCC. So he has a very good name as a NCC officer, NCC commandant. So he is well known by all. He because of this, his skill and efficiency, he was invited to different states of Northeast India in this connection. Then he was the president of some governing bodies like some B.Ed college, some commerce college, and some arts college. And he was president for several times the NAGS, as I have already told. He was a man of actually discipline. He liked discipline, and he was the most popular teacher in the department. And he loved the students very much, and he made the students very much alive, active, and vibrant. He was a sincere, devoted, and laborious teacher in the department. He left no stone unturned to develop the department. He loved the department by heart. We all know, we all the teachers, all his seniors, all his junior teachers, and all the student fraternity who have passed out, they all admit without any debate that he loved the department by heart and he did what he could for the department. And he was a great teacher, and we appreciate him from a knowledge point of view, from discipline point of view, from energy and motivation point of view. He was a great teacher. So I pay my gratitude to this great teacher, Professor M. Barthakur, and in this way, I conclude my, speech on Professor Barthakur. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Ashok Kumar Bhara, sir, for drawing the live sketch of Professor Barthakur and portraying his personality, his work, his contribution, his innovative research work, and love for the department, and especially for his research and academic contribution. The seed that he had sown in the form of Northeastern geographer is now in the UGC care list. Thank you so much, sir, for your deliberation about this great teacher. Thank you. May I now request Professor Vimal Kumar Kaur, another senior faculty of the Department of Geography, to enlighten us about the life and contribution of another great teacher of geography, Professor Mohammed Taher. Over to you, Professor Vimal Kumar Kaur.
So, namaskar. Am I audible?
Oh, yes, yes.
A very good morning, one and all present in this virtual medium. And respected President, Professor P.S. Tiwari, Chief Guest, Professor Salahuddin Qureshi, Guests of Honor, Professor K.N. Uday Kumar, Dr. L.S. Gill, and Professor Sengyu Yaden, distinguished guest, Professor Praveen Saptarshi, and many senior professors from all over India whom I can see, Professor V.K. Srivastava, Professor M.H. Qureshi, Professor Sudesh Nangia, Professor Rana Pratap, Professor Suryakant, Professor Sri Kumar Chattopadhyay, Professor K. Kumaraswamy, and Professor Kalpana Markande, and many more. My namaskar to you all. Professor D.P. Singh, the key person behind holding such a nice and memorable event for all the budding geographers of the country. My co-speakers and also my teachers, Professor A.K. Bhagwati and Professor A.K. Bhara, and convener, Professor Madhusri Das, former head, Department of Geography, and also former Dean Faculty of Science, Guwahati University, and present head of the department, Professor Dhubajyoti Sohoria, and all present in this virtual platform from Geography Fraternity and Fraternity of the country, and family members of late Professor H.P. Das, Professor M. Barthakur, and Professor M. Taher, and my dear colleagues and friends from Department of Geography, Guwahati University, and other institutions of the country, my dear students, research scholars, and ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, one and all present once again. And as already we have completed, I think, 2 hours of time, so I will try to make as brief as possible from my side. But at the very beginning, I would like to pay my most respectful homage to these 3 great teachers of geography of Gauhati University, Professor H.P. Das, Professor M. Barthakur, and Professor M. Taher. Of course, Professor H.P. Das was not my direct teacher, but Professor M. Barthakur and Professor M. Taher, they were all my direct teachers when I was studying my master's in this department during 1985-1988. But when I joined this department in 1993 as a lecturer, I developed association with Professor H.P. Das, and accordingly, till his death in the year 2003, I was very much closely associated with Professor H.P. Das as one of his family members. So with these words, I would like to share my screen.
कुछ खिलाइए छोरा नहीं जिसको
Is my screen visible? Hello? Am I audible?
You are audible,
No,
but
you are audible, but
Screen is not visible as yet.
Screen is not visible.
it's not
Screen is
visible.
upcoming.
Screen
Screen
is
is
not
yet to come.
Share your entire screen.
Yes, yes.
Share your entire screen.
Yes, yes, yes. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Audible and visible both?
both.
Thank you very much. So, the title of my presentation is Professor Mohammed Taher and Geography in India's Northeast. So, as we have come to know, Professor M. Taher was one of the three pillars of the Department of Geography as one of the founders, but among the three founders, Professor M. Taher was the youngest. And he happened to be the student of Professor H.P. Das because while doing his undergraduate course, he opted for geography as honors, and thereby Professor Taher sir was one of the students of Professor H.P. Das. He was born on 21st of April 1931 in a remote village in the district of Lakhimpur, very close to the town of North Lakhimpur in Assam, which is located in the extreme eastern part of the state of Assam. And his parents were Morhum Tayub Ali Hajorika and Morhuma Hamerun Nessa. He did his primary schooling in a village school named number 47 Telahi School, and he completed his matriculation from Lakhimpur Government High School in the year 1948 with first division. Then he proceeded to Guwahati for his higher education, and accordingly he joined Cotton College for his ISC course, and accordingly in 1951 with first division he got his ISC education completed. And there after that in the year 1954 he completed his undergraduate course in science and got BSc degree with first position in geography honors in the year 1954 from Gauhati University. Then he proceeded to Calcutta University for doing master's course, and accordingly in the year 1957 with first class he got his MSc degree from Calcutta University in geography. And his service career began after completion of his master's, that is MSc degree in geography, in a National Atlas organization. And as a research fellow, he worked there for about 1 year or so in National Atlas organization, now which is known as NATMO. And after that, when PG course was decided to be opened in the Department of Geography, Gauhati University, he was appointed as a lecturer, and accordingly he joined Department of Geography, Gauhati University on 10th of July 1958. And since then, he served this department until his retirement for about 33 years. And he finally retired on 31st of March 1991. During his service career, he served in the department as lecturer during 1958 to 1970 and as reader from 1970 to 1981 and as professor from 1981 to 1991. In the meantime, he served as head of the department first time during 1984-87 and second time in 1990-91, just towards the end of his service career in the university. The other positions he held while serving in this university included Dean Faculty of Science during 1991, Secretary University Classes in the university, and also Secretary Coordination Committee for Publication of Textbooks in Regional Language, that is in Assamese language. And then he was nominated as a member of Executive Council of the university. Apart from that, he held a number of very important positions outside Guwahati University, and those were mostly after his retirement, and of course some of them even while doing the service in the university. One of the most important among them include Chairman of Board of Secondary Education, Government of Assam during 1991-92. Then he became Director, OKD Institute of Social Change and Development, Guwahati, for a few months in 1993. Then he was nominated member of the Executive Council of the Dibrugarh University, Rajiv Gandhi University of Arunachal Pradesh, and also a member of Board of Governors of KK Hendik State Open University in Assam. Then he also served as President of Governing Body in Hendik Girls College Guwahati, Pandu College Guwahati, and Pochim Guwahati College. Then he, while doing his service in the university, he was also very much connected with UGC, NCERT, UPSC, SCERT, etc. In different capacities. So far his doctoral research is concerned, he did his doctoral research as a Commonwealth Fellowship holder during 1963-65 from the Department of Geography, University of Auckland, New Zealand. His topic of research was quite interesting. It was Asians in New Zealand, a geographical review and interpretation. And his supervisor was Professor K.B. Cumberland. And he completed his PhD research work and got the PhD degree on 16th of August 1965. And we have learned that maybe within less than 2.5 years of time, he could complete his PhD research work and got the degree with this Commonwealth Fellowship. And his research work was very interesting, and we can see his research work consisted of 8 chapters and containing 350 pages, including 46 tables, 42 maps, 17 diagrams, 23 plates. And while going through his PhD research work, we find that so far the Asian immigrants in New Zealand at that time were concerned. Out of the total Asian immigrants, more than 60% were from China and a little more than 30% were from India, and the remaining were from other Southeast Asian countries. And in his research work, he tried to show the places of origin, socioeconomic backgrounds, numbers, trends, patterns of distribution, and also the associated demographic and socioeconomic characteristics of the Asian immigrants living in different parts of New Zealand in those days. And he could also find out the social distinctiveness and also the adaptation behavior of those Asians in New Zealand. So in this way, his research work proved to be quite informative and meaningful in those days. as he had his background of studies from Calcutta University, he developed interest in the field of physical geography, particularly geomorphology and regional geography of India, and also having training in working in the National Atlas Organization for more than 1 year, he had the understanding of mapping, and thereby all these tools, and afterwards his research understanding in the field of population geography, all those could help him carrying out his further studies and research in the direction of population geography, social geography, regional geography of India, and also in guiding research even in the field of geomorphology henceforth. So looking at the regional geography of India and Assam, he contributed a large number of articles in edited books, magazines, souvenirs, and over 50 research papers on various themes like physiography, rivers and the wetlands, human resources, regional planning, urbanization, population, ethnicity and tribes, insurgency, social and cultural aspects of Northeast and Assam. He also authored a few books in regional geography of Northeast India and Assam. As he was one of the pioneers in the field of geography, education and research, like other two teachers or professors, Professor Das and Professor Barthakur, he also used to work hard in teaching geography in the university and also providing extension lectures in different schools and colleges of Assam and other parts of the Northeast, and also writing books and articles for the benefit of students, teachers, and also researchers in those days. Some of the publications of Professor M. Taher on regional geography of Northeast India include Physiography of Assam. Then came a geographical account of Nagaland, which was published in Journal of Northeast India Geographical Society in 1970. In 1977, he wrote an article on tribes of Northeast India, a diagnostic survey in spatial pattern. This was also published in Northeastern Geographer. The journal, which was originally known as Journal of Northeast India Geographical Society, it was renamed afterwards as Northeastern Geographers. So these are some of the books authored by Professor M. Taher, sometimes singly, sometimes with some other co-author, sometimes Taher with Ahmed, one of his students, sometimes alone. These are some of the books on geography of Assam and Northeast India. Some other publications included, which was published in 1986, Physiographic Framework of Northeast India. This was published in Northeastern Geographer. Population Base of Assam, it was published in Northeastern Geographer. Region as a cultural entity, a humanistic perspective, it was also published in Northeastern Geographer. We found that this particular topic was a part of syllabus, both in undergraduate course and in postgraduate course. And therefore, he found the need of the students, and accordingly, on his own, he tried to write an article with title Region as a Cultural Entity. We found as a student that whatever is the topic given to him, he first tries to understand, and he develops the understanding in such a way so that he can make the others, his students, understand the theme or the topic very easily. So that is the important dimension we could see with respect to Professor M. Taher, with respect to his teaching, whether it is a very difficult topic or so. Even in discussing the concept of postmodernism also, he tried to give the examples in such a way so that everybody can understand what is the meaning and the idea behind the complicated issue like postmodernism or something else. So he also authored a book, Geography of Northeast India, as I showed you just now, and Northeast India Geographical Profile in a souvenir. Then regional basis of geographical planning in Brahmaputra Valley, again it was published in Northeastern Geographer. And he contributed significantly to the preparation of textbooks, particularly for school students. Accordingly, he published a large number of textbooks ranging from primary to PG level, both in Assamese and English language. And this process started from the year 1972, to be more specific, 1970s to the of the last century to the first decade of the present century. During that period, he authored and published a large number of textbooks, particularly for the school students and also few for college and university students. The first book he published or authored was titled as Bhugol Hopan for class 5, then Bhugol Bharati in Assamese, and Modern School Geography in English for class 7 to class 10. Then he wrote Bhugol Vigyan, first part in Assamese. He wrote a number of textbooks on geography of Northeast India and also Assam for both UG and PG students by himself and also with some other co-authors. So these are some of the books authored by Professor Taher at different points of time, and these are all school textbooks from class 7, 8, 9. Even I also got the opportunity to work with him to write a few chapters along with him in textbook on geography for social sciences, published by Assam Textbook Production, along with Professor Mk Vanderbilt and Professor Mk Bhara also. And regarding the publications in the field of geography, we can see a large number of publications as he did his research in the field of population geography. After coming back from New Zealand, after obtaining his PhD degree, we found that he published an article, "The Asians," in an edited book, "Immigrants in New Zealand." And then he wrote an article, "Geo-economic Basis of Population Distribution in Mongoloi Subdivision of Assam," published in Northeastern Geographer. "Tribes of Northeast India, a diagnostic survey and in spatial pattern," again in Northeastern Geographer. "Scheduled caste population in Assam, a spatial analysis. A glimpse of population geography of Northeast India." It was published in souvenir of the annual conference of Northeast India Geographical Society in the year 1982. Then some of other publications on population geography included "Population Base of Assam," published in Northeastern Geographer. "Peopling of Assam and Contemporary Social Structure." It was published in a book edited by Professor Azaz Ahmad in the book "Social Structure and Regional Development," which was published in 1993. Then in 1994, "Tribes of Northeast India," which was published in Progya, published by Guwahati University Teachers Association. In 1995, he wrote another article, "A Demographic Profile of Northeast India," published by Journal of Assam Research Society. Then in 1996, "Contemporary Issues and Trend in Population Geography," Journal of Geography. "Ethnic Situation in Northeast India, Geographical Perspective," in Northeastern Geographer. "Ethnicity and Insurgency in Northeast India," it was published in Northeastern Geographer. Then in 2008, "Mother Tongues in Northeast India, Status and Distribution," it was published in an edited book, Population Development and Conflicts in Northeast India." Then in 2011, he published another article, "Assamese Muslims, a glimpse of their history and contribution," in an edited volume, "White Invasion from Invisible Front, Crisis of Identity of Assam, Her Pristine People," which was published in the year 2011. And he was also very much involved in the process of publication of large number of atlas for the benefit of school and college students. And accordingly, he published not less than 10 articles and 10 atlases at different points of time for the benefit of the students of Assam and other parts of the Northeast India. So he was associated with publication of 7 atlases and its several revised editions in Assamese, Bengali and English version. So in 1974 he published Notun Asamiya Bachitravali. Then he published in 1978 Bharatar Khohos Bachitra Bachitravali. Then he published in 1985 Prathamik Asamiya Manchitra. So in this way he published a large number of your atlas for the benefit of students and researchers in this part of the country. He was also involved in writing books for children. Apart from the textbook for the school children, he also wrote a book for children that is titled as in Assamese Jatayat Aru Poribohon, Communication and Transport, which was published in the year 1960. Jatayat Aru Poribohon. After that, in a children magazine named Khofura in Assamese, he wrote a number of essays for the benefit of children, school children and college children on River Brahmaputra. That was published in a children magazine named Khofura in the year 2002. Then he was also involved in writing a number of articles pertaining to or focusing on 19th century Assam. Those articles were published in a magazine, popular magazine called Bhogolika, published by Northeast India Geographical Society in Assamese. Quite a large number of articles to Bhogolika, and among them the series under the title Unabinka Phatikar Assam, that means 19th century Assam. Published a research paper on ancient Kamrupa from perspective of historical geography along with his colleague Professor N.N. Bhattacharya. So in this way, he also enriched the field of your historical geography and also political geography through his writings at different points of time. And as pointed out by Professor A.K. Bhagawati and Professor A.K. Bhara, when NEIGS was formed in 1968, since then Professor Taher got attached very actively with the activities of Northeast India Geographical Society, and he was the founder treasurer of the Northeast India Geographical Society. And he also became editor of Northeastern Geographer. He also served the Northeast India Geographical Society as its president for 2-3 times, and I was fortunate that I also served as with him when he was president. I was general secretary during the Jagirot conference for 2 years, 2000 to 2002, and he contributed altogether 14 research papers in Northeastern Geographer since 1970. First published book, he was the first person to publish one of his books titled Social Geographic Concepts and Theories, published by Northeast India Geographical Society, which is a very useful textbook for the students and teachers, particularly for colleges and universities. Its second revised and enlarged edition with title and Introduction to Social Geography was also published by the Northeast India Geographical Society in 2005. Subsequently, this book is being published by some other publishing house from Guwahati with the same title and Introduction to Social Geography. So you can see the top one is the original book, which was published in the year 1993 with title Social Geography Concepts and Theories by M. Taher, published by NEIGS. And in 2005, in revised and enlarged form, this book was again published in 2005 with new title and Introduction to Social Geography, published by again NEIGS. At this moment, this book is being published by a publication house with same title and Introduction to Social Geography. So far research supervision is concerned, he supervised altogether 12 PhD scholars and 11 MPhil scholars. And so far research paper and article publication is concerned, he could publish around more than 50 research articles in journals and edited books, and popular articles in English around 40, and popular articles in Assamese more than 80, published in different books and magazines, journals, so on and so forth. So this is the list of the research scholars who completed their MPhil research, numbering 11 at different points of time under the guidance of Professor M. Taher. The first one was on crime pattern in 1983. Second was on socio-economic basis of tribal people. So third one in the year 1984 was on scheduled castes in suburban locality. Another in 1984 was on social landscape of Bojali with reference to social constraint. Another in 1984 was on social geography of tribal people of Darong district. Another in 1986 was on socio-economic basis and land occupants pattern of Sapoi Mouza. In 1988, another MPhil scholar worked under his guidance, that was on the Thai population, one of the Ahum communities, Thai Ahum, you have heard about Thai population of Shivsagar district geographical analysis. In 1990, Suchanda Ghosh worked on socio-economic structure of the people engaged in railway in Guwahati and New Guwahati station. In 1990, again, another research scholar worked on the Ahom population of undivided Lakhimpur district, a study of population geography. In 1998, another research scholar worked on Moran population of Dumduma Thana, Tinsukia district, Assam. And finally, in 2002, after his retirement, actually two research scholars did their MPhil research work on. The last was by Tulika Borgohai, which was on places of worship in Guwahati city. So from this list, it is almost clear that his research interest was more inclined to population, social and ethnic elements. This is the list of doctoral research. Out of the total 12 doctoral research work he guided, 11 were from Gauhati University and one was from Dibrugarh University. And the first research work guided by him was on immigration. That is the immigrant population in Assam by MC Bhuya. At that time he was working in the Department of Geography as a lecturer. In fact, MC Bhuya was the first batch PG student from the Department of Geography, Guwahati University. MC Bhuya, who worked under the guidance of Professor M. Taher and got the degree in 1978, working on immigrant population in Assam. Subsequently, in 1980, one person from Manipur, he did his research on Imphal, a study of urban geography. Next one again by a person from a geographer from Manipur, product of Guwahati University Geography Department itself. Pattern of land use in Manipur Valley. I must say about Dr. R.K. Ranjan Singh, who did his PhD under the guidance of Professor M. Taher. He was not only a product of this department, both master as well as PhD. He served initially in the Department of Geography, Manipur University, as a lecturer, and after that he joined administration of Manipur University and finally retired as registrar Manipur University. And after his retirement, he joined politics, and now he is a union minister of state for education and external affairs, Dr. R.K. Ranjan Singh. Fourth PhD was on evolution of population structure in the district of Dibrugarh in the last 100 years, that is during 1872 to 1971, a geographical analysis. This degree was given. In 1984 again, Dr. Lakshahira Datta did her PhD under his guidance on agricultural occupants of Nagaon district. Dr. Lakshahira Datta was also a teacher of this department, but unfortunately after her retirement, she left all of us in the early part of this year. Seventh research scholar completing his PhD was on geomorphology of Kamrup district, a morphometric and quantitative analysis that was awarded in 1988. In 1989, a person from Nagaland did his PhD on levels of development in Nagaland. In 1989, Anwaruddin Chaudhary, a master degree holder from this department, did his PhD on the habitat distribution and status of non-human primates of Assam. He got his degree in 1989. He was actually a civil servant. While doing his job as a civil servant, he carried out his PhD research work under the guidance of Professor M. Taher, and subsequently Dr. Anwaruddin Chaudhary could do his DSc also from Guwahati University. Then one person from Karbi Anglong, product of this department, Fukan Chandra Phangso, did his PhD on Karbis of Northeast India Geographical Analysis in 1990, and in 1999, Girish Chandra Goswami, who did his MPhil also under the guidance of Professor M. Taher, did his PhD on tribal and non-tribal population comparative study for Dorong district of Assam, a social geographic study. And the last PhD was undertaken by Prasanna on status and potentiality of tourism in Assam, a geographical analysis. Presently, Prasanna is one of our colleagues in the department. So these are the 12 PhD research work guided by Professor M. Taher. And from this list also we can see that most of the works are directly or indirectly related to population and social geography, and some of the works are related to development issues, agricultural development or urban development, and one or two works are related to even geomorphology. He was also involved in preparation and publication of an encyclopedia in Assamese, Biswakok, in two big volumes, volume 8 and volume 9, published by Assam Sahitya Sabha. Assam Sahitya Sabha came forward and gave the responsibility of bringing out two volumes of Biswakok, volume 8 and 9, on society and culture. And Professor M. Taher was the chief editor, along with Professor M. Taher as chief editor, Professor A.K. Bhagwati was editor, and Professor Irshad Ali was editor, and Professor two more from other two departments were involved as editors in bringing out these two big volumes of encyclopedia in Assamese on society and culture. We consider these two publications are the great contributions to the field of literature, particularly with respect to society and culture, and it was published by Assam Sahitya Sabha. And he was also involved in various literary works. He served as the editor of the Cottonian, the mouthpiece of the Cotton College, in 1953. He wrote a large number of short stories in various magazines, Cottonian, Ramdhenu, Tongali, etc. Also, he wrote some creative piece in daily newspapers, particularly in Amar Assam. He translated works into Assamese. For example, Ancient Geography of India by Anandaram Barua. This book was translated by Professor M. Taher after his retirement. He also translated the work of Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad of Quran with title Quran or Maulik Dharana, Elementary Ideas of Quran, which was published in the year 2011. So in this way, he was very much involved in literary works, and he published his literary works in a number of different ways, including some translated books and articles. Most importantly, Professor Taher composed a geographical poem towards the end of his service career in the university, and that is titled as Ami Abhijatri, We Are the Explorer, which was written in the year 1990, and this has been adopted as departmental and NEIGS song. So these are the 2 volumes of Biswa Kokh published by Assam Sahitya Sabha, and chief editor was Professor M. Taher. So these are the 2 translated books. One is Quranor Moulik Dharana, another is Anandaram Baruar Prachin Bharator Bhugol, translated by Professor M. Taher into Assamese. So these are some other books in which he was either chief editor or as advisor. And he received a large number of awards and honors at different points of time for his contribution to the field of education and society. One of the award is Radha Govinda Barua Memorial Honor on the occasion of Independence Day during the time of Torun Gogoi government in 2009. Then Bharat Shikshan Mandal Assam Honor in 2010. Then Manav Vikas Samaj Guwahati Honor 2010 by the Dibrugarh University. That was maybe in the year 2013 or 14. So this is the time when this was a picture when Professor Taher was receiving the National Award from the K.C. Das Commerce College Foundation. So probably it was in the year 2013 or maybe 2014, maybe just one year before his departure. And this is the time when Professor Taher received the honorary DSc degree from Dibrugarh University. So far his family life goes, he had a very successful and peaceful family life. He married Mrs. Setara Ahmed of Shillong, who is an MA in English from Guwahati University itself, and they got married on 26th of June 1966. Although Mrs. Taher had brilliant academic career, for the interest of the family, he did not join any service. And later she joined Gauhati University Model High School as a teacher of English, and she retired from Gauhati University Model High School as a senior teacher, maybe in the year around 2010 or so. And they have, Professor Taher and Mrs. Setara Taher have 3 children, 1 daughter who is MA in English and 2 sons. Both are engineering graduate. All are highly educated and well established. They are running their own families and at different places of the world now. So this is a photograph of his eldest child, Nita, daughter, with his son-in-law, doctor, who are in Jorhat in Assam, with his granddaughter. Professor Taher sir and Mrs. Setara Taher ma'am with their eldest son Reza Taher, who is in USA, working as an engineer, senior engineer, must be in a place in USA. Another picture along with their two children with Reja's wife. Again, must be in USA with Reza Taher, the eldest son, with his wife and two daughters, and also Ma'am Setara Ma'am is visible in the picture. This is the picture of the youngest son, Aga, who is settled at Hong Kong, again an engineering graduate with two sons. This is a complete, I think, family picture with daughter, both the sons, then son-in-law, doctor, and daughter-in-laws with their grandchildren. Coming to the activities of Professor M. Taher Memorial Committee, soon after the sad demise of Professor M. Taher on 24th of February 2015, just one day before, when we held our 36th IIG Congress at the Department of Geography, Guwahati University, which was held during February 25 to 28, 2015. I was the convener and Professor Mk Vanderbilt sir was the president of the organizing committee. One day before our Congress, Professor M. Taher left all of us. And after his passing away, a committee, a memorial committee was featured alive for generations to come. We held the first death anniversary of late Professor M. Taher on 24th of February 2016 in the Department of Geography, Guwahati University. And later on, we decided to organize memorial meet on every birth anniversary of Professor Taher, along with a memorial lecture by an eminent geographer since 21st April 2016. So since 21st April 2016, every year we have been organizing a memorial meet in memory of Professor M. Taher along with a memorial lecture. Accordingly, the memorial lectures held were delivered by Professor R.B. Singh in the year 2016, Professor Rana P.B. Singh in the year 2017, Dr. R.K. Ranjan Singh 2018, Professor Sudipta Adhikari 2019, Dr. Foni Deka 2021 in online mode. We could not organize the memorial lecture in the year 2020 because of COVID, but later on we decided to have the memorial lecture program in online mode, and accordingly Dr. Foni Deka delivered the 5th memorial lecture in the year 2021 on 21st of April. And the latest memorial lecture was delivered by Professor H.S. Sharma on 21st of April 2022. And this committee also instituted Professor Mohammed Taher Motivate Fellowship, through which annually for one postgraduate student for 2 years and one doctoral student of geography of Guwahati University for 3 years, we are giving fellowship in the name of Professor Mohammed Taher Motivate Fellowship, which had begun from the year 2017. And after that, with the initiative of the Memorial Committee and also with the initiative of the Department of Geography and also, of course, with the initiative of the family members of late Professor Taher, we have been able to establish a geography museum in memory of Professor M. Taher, which was opened on 21st of April 2022 at Department of Geography, Guwahati University. This museum was formally opened by Professor D.C. Goswami, former professor and head, Department of Environmental Science, and also former professor from the Department of Geography, Guwahati University. So all these activities and developments are being supported by the family members of late Professor Taher. So this is a publication titled Professor Mohammed Taher, Life and Contribution, edited by Professor Mk Vanderbilt and Dr. P. Bhattacharya, was published by Professor M. Taher Memorial Committee on the day of the first memorial lecture on 21st of April 2016. So this is in memory of Professor M. Taher, honor and memory of M. Taher, Geography Museum. So this particular portrait of Professor M. Taher, prepared by a painter, is placed in the Geography Museum, and it is written like this. And just entering the museum, we can see these your citations and other things which we have received from Professor M. Taher's family. So this is a picture of the Professor M. Taher Memorial Geography Museum at the Department of Geography. This is another view from the museum. So with these words, I end here with my most respectful tribute to my revered teacher, Professor Mohammed Taher, from whom I have learned a lot. I have learned how to study geography, I have learned how to teach geography, and I have learned how to become a good citizen of the society and the country. I do not know if I have committed any mistake while presenting the life and works of Professor M. Taher. I am sure I will be excused by the learned audience. With these words, thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, Professor Kumar, for projecting the life sketch of another most revered teacher, Professor Mohammed Taher, drawing his early life, his education, his service career, various positions that he had held in the university and outside, his doctoral and other research, his publication, his love for math, his meticulous and unique way of teaching, and I am fortunate to be one of his students. He was a pioneer in geography, education, and research, and his contribution to the field of geography is magnanimous. And thank you, Professor Kaur, once again for shedding some light on this great man. It is a rare opportunity that we are celebrating the life of the three pillars of geography of Northeast India today. And I take the opportunity to thank the organizer, especially Professor Devendra Singh sir, for giving us this opportunity, giving opportunity to the Department of Geography, Gauhati University, to conduct this session. And I humbly pay my respectful tribute to all the noble souls. May I now request the guest of honor for today's program, Professor K.N. Uday Kumar, former Professor and Head, Department of Geography, Mysore University, for his remark.
Perhaps he has left, madam.
He's not there?
He is not seeing. He was there, but presently he is not there.
So, sir, shall I proceed on to the next speaker?
Yes, madam, actually.
Yes. May I now request the guest of honor, Dr. Laghveer Singh Gill, from Punjab University, Association of Punjab Geographer. He's the General Secretary of Punjab Association of Geographers, to speak a few words.
Perhaps he has also left. Because
Okay, may I now request another guest of honor, former professor and head Professor Tengu Yadal from Nagaland University, and may I request him to speak a few words.
he was there.
Check if he's there.
But perhaps left.
Not there. Then I request the chief guest, Professor Sahaluddin Qureshi, former professor and head Department of Geography, Aligarh Muslim University, to speak a few words.
No, yeah, Professor Yaden is present.
Yeah, sir.
Yaden is present, yes.
Yes.
Okay, then.
Request Professor Yaden first.
I'm sorry, there was some.
Professor
There was
Yaden,
some.
professor and former head of the department, former dean, School of Science, Nagaland University. May I request you, sir, to kindly speak a few words on the occasion.
Okay, thank you, madam. In fact, there was some disruption in the network, so I'm sorry for that. Well, the organizers of this 25th episode of the online lecture series on founders and makers of modern geography in Gauhati University on the three eminent pioneers of modern geography, President, the convener, our guest of honor, Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Salahuddin Qureshi, distinguished guest, dignitaries, our main speakers in the program, Professor Eki Guwahati, Professor Ashok Bhara, Professor Vimal HUD, and other faculty members of the Department of Geography, Gauhati University, and distinguished participants from all over the country. Ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to you all. At the very outset, I take this opportunity to thank the organizers for giving me this privilege to be with the pioneers and the eminent personalities of geographers on this, auspicious occasion. Indeed, I am honored and I gratefully acknowledge to all of you for interacting with all of you through this virtual mode. Well, I have enjoyed listening to the presentation of all speakers, and I'm overwhelmed indeed. Prior to this program, I was not much aware of the contributions of all these three pioneers, the eminent geographers. So thank you so much to all the speakers for the enlightening presentation and the information on this Professor Egidas, Professor Taher, and Professor Barthakur. Listening to the contributions of pioneers in the modern geography has vastly enriched our knowledge. Having said so, we all have to work harder with commitment and relentless efforts to follow the path of the pioneers. In this regard, we need to rededicate and refine our understanding of the diverse subject nature of geography, putting all the inputs and outputs from all sides. Therefore, I congratulate all the speakers in today's episode for their commendable presentation. I really enjoyed listening and learn a lot from them. And I think I should not take much time because I think we have our chief guest to have more, presentation. With these few words, I conclude my brief remarks. Wishing you all the best of luck and good health. Thank you all. Yeah, madam, over to you.
Thank you, sir. May I now request the chief guest, Professor Salahuddin Qureshi, former professor and head Department of Geography, Aligarh Muslim University, to speak a few words. Sir, there?
Yes, he is here.
Yes, sir. Sir, may I request you to kindly speak a few words.
Please unmute, sir.
Sir, you need to unmute yourself.
Qureshi, sir, please unmute.
I'm sorry.
Maybe some network problems, sir.
Then shall we wait or shall we request the next speaker?
Professor Qureshi, we are unable to hear. There is some audio problem with you.
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Professor Qureshi, we are not listening to you. Professor Qureshi. Professor Qureshi.
Madam Convener,
Yes.
Professor Uday Kumar sir is here.
Okay, I think next is Rishi.
Hello, madam. Hello. Hello. Madhusri.
Yes.
Madhusri, I am.
Yes, sir.
I am sad to say.
Sir, I am not being able to hear you. Your voice is breaking.
I need only 2 minutes to say something.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please.
You are listening?
Yes, sir. Please listen.
Yeah. So I am talking about the Aligarh, the Guwahati University, where I joined as a scholar, research scholar during 1977. A refresher course was going on for the 21 days, 3 weeks in 1977. Professor Bhagwati may correct it. It was the real year, and we attended there, and we observed and we find Professor H.P. Das, Professor Bhara Thakur, and Professor Mohammed Taher. So a tripod of the department, really they were very cooperative, they were very intelligent, they were nicely organized the department, and department was rising like anything under the headship of Professor H.P. Das. So we all students, numbering 60, Professor Mk Vanderbilt was also in the group. We enjoyed it and availed. So since then, I remember and I appreciate the behavior, the conduct, the manner of Professor H.P. Das, Bhare Thakur, and Professor Taher as a teacher, as a good citizens, and I am mobilized even today. Later on, Professor H.P. Das was one of my PhD examiner. So I was overwhelmed to find him here, and he was very much impressed about my research thesis and appreciated a lot. So this is the good opportunity I have got today to express my hidden since long. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the three speakers, Mk Bhagwati, Mk Bhara, and Vimal, presenting very nice accounts, detailed accounts of their personalities, their contributions, like a good geographers, and they have much added what we are proceeding with the objectives having the modern geography in India. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. It is so nice to know your connection with our department. Thank you, sir. May I now request
Professor Uday Kumar is here. So
yeah,
we should request him once again.
Professor K. Uday Kumar, former professor and head, Department of Geography, Mysore University. May I request you, sir, to kindly speak a few words.
He's here, but he's raising his hand.
Yeah, he has raised his hands.
So we shall go ahead.
Professor K. Uday Kumar, sir. Sir, can you unmute yourself? Dr. Lakhveer Singh Gill, sir. Shall we pass on to the next speaker, the distinguished guest, Professor Parveen Saptarshi, sir, UGC Emeritus Professor, former Professor and Head, Department of Environmental Science, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune. Sir, are you there?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, may I request you to kindly speak a few words?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And this opportunity is nothing but a great learning lesson from Bhagwati and my friend Bhara and my young friend Vimal. So this is really a great thing that Professor Devendra Prasad Singh is organizing all these things, and tirelessly he is pursuing the people, and I know that he is great taskmaster. Anyway, this gives us opportunity to learn the personality of these things, because the Professor Das or the other, so all these founders or pioneering people were known to us, several geographers like me, but they were known through their literature. Not exactly what made them to write the things, to organize the department, to uh, uh, to have the outreach program for example, Taher sir. All these people were associated with the writing these textbooks at school level, primary level. That is really amazing, and that was not known to us. And thank you very much for making us all this kind of knowledge. Thanks a lot. And all the three speakers they have given a systematic account of the great personalities. Thanks a lot. And thanks, special thanks to my friend Devendra Prasad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Quraishi Sahab should once again requested. Sir Quraishi Sahab.
Yeah, Professor Qureshi has to unmute his mic.
Perhaps he is unable.
So now we pass on to the person who is the key behind this online lecture series, Professor Devendra Prasad Singh. So may I request you, sir, to kindly speak a few words.
Thank you very much, madam. And thanks once again to such a large number of geographers from all over the country, from south to north and east to west, and also from the central part of the country. Actually, this is our Silver Jubilee episode, and we have already successfully conducted 24 episodes, and we are getting cooperation, blessings, support and advice from all our senior professors like today's president Rana Babu, Suraj Kant ji, Rana PB Singh ji, Bijian from Kerala. He is on bed, he is ailing and on bed. Even then, he has joined the episode. Saptarshi Sahab and everyone. Their friend Chattopadhyaya Sahab, all are helping me to conduct all such activities and episodes. And I once again request all the speakers to provide us the written form of their lectures, because we are going to publish the first 4 volumes in near future, and the compilation and editing work is in the final stage. So all the speakers are once again requested for availability of their chapters related to their lectures. And we are very glad to announce that we have organized 12 action groups headed by each action group is headed by one very senior and active professor of the country. And Professor Tiwari Sahab, the today's president, is the man behind all such activities, because he is the man who has motivated me perhaps 1.5 years earlier to organize such series. So once again, I am very much thankful to Professor Tiwari, and I thankful to all of you also. And I have also to announce that on the 11th of this month, we are going to organize our 26th episode, and it will be devoted to one more very doyen professor of geography from Kolkata University, Professor Visheshwar Banerjee. And on the 25th of this month, we are going to celebrate our 27th episode, and it will be devoted to the founders and makers of modern geography of Din Dayal Upadhyay University, Gorakhpur. And Professor Ramsakal Jadhav Sahab is also here, who is cooperating us in compiling and organizing chapters of professor from Banaras Hindu University. So I am very much thankful and obliged to Professor Jadhav also. And on the 10th of October, we will have our 28th episode, and it will be devoted to the founders and makers of modern geography in India. So thank you very much, madam, and all the people from the University Department of Gauhati. They have cooperated me much and helped me much. Another our senior colleague, Professor Sujkan Sahab, is also here, and he is also very much helpful and cooperative from the very beginning. He is supporting and helping us. So I thank you all for Jitendra Shukla ji here, Qureshi Sahab is here, and many more senior professors, S.N. Pandey ji, Lokesh Srivastava, and I am thankful to all of them and all of you. And once again, I request you all to cooperate in near future, because such episode will be continued for a long, and we will go down even to the generation of others, and even down to the lower strata below our generations. So this is, such episode we will continue for long. It may be 10 years, it may be of 15 years. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, sir. The next, as per the agenda, the next item is we have to invite two eminent participants for comments, short comments.
Professor Parveen Saptarshi Sahab is also cooperating us in organizing lectures and writing chapters of professor related to the Pune University. So I am very much thankful to him also, Professor Saptarshi Sahab. So on behalf of you, I request Professor Sujkan sir to have a very short suggestion, because time is so high.
Next, we can invite Professor Rana P.B. Singh sir. Sir is also there. Maybe sir can speak a few lines after that.
But very short, because time is so.
Yeah.
I have to speak something or what?
Sir, 2 lines, comments.
Few words. And simple thing is this: already Professor D.P. Singh has made a format, that in that format with little bit revision and addition, everybody's moral duty is to submit that first rate. Then what he added, that will be revised and then systematic to be made. So most important thing, which I personally and behalf of all of you request to all of you to contribute that in that framework. The other thing, or simple thing, is to add that you can highlight the last section dealing with the research contribution. It is not only mentioning that will be appendix, but just highlight. So that is the thing, and that good thing that already circulated. I think you all have received that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, very much for your suggestion. Now, Professor Sujkant and Professor Chattopadhyay should put some suggestions.
I think I simply thank everybody, and this all from my side.
Thank you. May I now request the President, Dr. P.S. Tiwari, for his presidential remark.
No, there is Professor Sri Kumar Chattopadhyay also.
Yeah, I think without going into preliminaries, just 2 points to mention. One is all 3 stalwarts of geographers. I had the opportunity to meet them in 1983 in the Department of Geography in Guwahati University. And all the speakers also I know very well, and Abuni Bhagavati becomes a very good friend all along. And in 2015, again, I visited Guwahati University in connection with the IIG, and I delivered the presidential address. Now, in 1983, what I really noticed, which is very important in this context, is The Guwahati University Geography Department has created a very sort of a congenial environment for the youngers to be argumentative. That is a time when I think all senior professors were there, Professor A.B. Mukherjee, then Professor Azizuddin Ahmed, Professor K.N. Singh, Professor Sharma, and many other, Professor Banerjee, and it's a galaxy of geographers, and I'm a very young that time, and going from Trivandrum and participating there, what really struck me, that a department who is creating a place for the youngers to raise the issues and be argumentative. That's most important contribution of a teacher to the students. And that is the, today the Guwahati University, what they are. It is that free and fair and argumentative environment that has been created. Thank you very much. And thank you, Devendra Singh. And I see Professor Tiwari. Professor Tiwari, thank you very much and pranam to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We will now have the presidential address to be delivered by Professor P.S. Tiwari, Professor, Department of Geography, Madras University, Chennai. May I request you, sir, to kindly deliver your presidential remark.
Thank you very much, Madhusri. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this has been a very special session of my life. It's 3 hours and 15 minutes continuous without any break. And this session has been, even though it has been such a long session, it has been very absorbing. And what I have no hesitation to say that this is perhaps one of the best sessions of this series. I had not come across more serious discussion and exposition of the contributions of the makers of geography. I would like to congratulate all the 3 speakers. They have presented a very nice account of all the 3, and I feel it has been a very educative session. I would also like to say that the contributions of people like Mohammed Taher or H.P. Das and Barthakur, this should be a little more publicized so that people across different geographies in the country, they come to know about them. Friends, I would also like to congratulate Deven Prasad ji for organizing this series. This has been a sort of movement. Now, the whole country is getting interested in knowing how geography in this country has progressed and how our seniors, they have struggled and tried to make geography what we have it today. I would also like to congratulate Madhusri, who has conducted the sessions so well, all the time smiling, even after such a strenuous session. So thank you very much. God bless you all. I wish all of you long life and very healthy life and a good contribution to society. Now, this has been also one of the sessions which has been very widely attended by people from all over the country. I see my old friends, Praveen Saptarshi, I'm seeing after 2 years, exactly 2 years. I think it was 4th of September 20, when the Indian Geographical Society organized this online lecture on the geographical societies of the country. So Saptarshi was there, and you see my good friend Sri Kumar Chattopadhyay, and this JNU friends. So it has been a very well attended session from all over the country. So congratulations, Devenji, and the organizers of the Department of Guwahati. I wish I have some opportunity to visit Gauhati University and see the museum, and maybe people from other departments in the country may get some inspiration, because the type of contribution that Professor Taher has made to geography, I don't know anywhere else in the country such efforts have been made, and there is need to publicize these things so that people are properly educated uh, um, about the efforts of our seniors. So thank you very much for all these efforts. God bless you.
Dr. Tiwari, you are seeing Sri Kumar from Nairobi. Sri Kumar is not in India. Sri Kumar is not in India at the moment. I am speaking from Nairobi.
International. Yes, I can see, the background I can see. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you.
Madam Convener, one minute. I should be given 1 minute, madam.
Yes, sir.
Tiwari sir, accept my pranam. मैं सिंह पांडे.
So nice, Dhyan ji. Professor Dhyan Kaur from Chandigarh is also being seen here.
सर मैं आपको बहुत-बहुत प्रणाम सर.
Sir,
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है आपसे मिलकर.
Sir, we are very much thankful to you because you are the man behind all the imagination and the symbolization of the episode. And I have no hesitation to inform that we have personally contacted more than 1,000 people, and we have given our message not less than 7 dozen WhatsApp group of geography. So we have largely circulated it, sir. And for your information, I have to inform that this program is being live casted on the YouTube and website also. So it will be visible and audible for a long time, because all these are being recorded through YouTube and website. And our limitation of participation is also there, because we have we cannot include many people because of the limitation of the net website, and it is due to the cooperation of Department of Geography, Gauhati University, they have created a new link and provided to us. So we have been able to include more than 100 people. Thank you, sir, very much. It is for information of people, senior peoples of the country. Thank you, sir, very much.
Yeah. May I suggest that before we pass it on to YouTube, it has to be edited properly, because the
but
time.
Sir, it is live. It is being live casted.
Okay.
It is being live casted.
No,
Thank you, madam. Now it is over to you.
Yes, thank you, sir. We will now have the formal vote of thanks to be delivered by an assistant professor of the Department of Geography, Gauhati University, Dr. Nityananda Deka. So it's over to you, Nityananda Deka.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Professor Modesty Das Madam, for giving me a chance to offer a vote of thanks in this auspicious lecture. So now, I, on behalf of the Department of Geography, Guwahati University, would like to offer our vote of thanks to all of you present in this online lecture. First, we must thank the organizer of this lecture series, especially the Institute for Environmental Research and Rural Development, for organizing such a very important and significant online lecture series devoted to the founders and makers of modern geography of India. We are highly grateful to this institute for giving us a chance to present before you the contributions of 3 founder teachers of the Department of Geography, Guwahati University. We also thank the president of this online lecture, Dr. P.S. Tiwari sir, retired professor of the Department of Geography, Madras University, and former president of NAGI, for smoothly presiding over this meeting and also for his valuable presidential address. We offer our thanks to Professor V.K. Srivastav sir, retired professor of Geography, Gorakhpur University, for his encouraging speech in the beginning of this meeting. We are highly privileged to have amongst us 3 distinguished personalities as guests of honor of this lecture. They are Dr. K.N. Uday Kumar sir, former professor and head, Department of Geography, Mysore University; Dr. Lakhbir Singh Gill sir, Principal General Secretary, Association of Punjab Geographers; and Dr. Sango Yaden sir, Professor and former head, Department of Geography, Nagaland University. We offer our sincere thankfulness to all of the guests of honor for their kind presence and also for their valuable speech. We are highly happy to have the chief guest of today's meeting, Dr. Salahuddin Qureshi sir, former professor and head, Department of Geography of Aligarh Muslim University, and also the distinguished guest of this lecture, Professor Praveen Saptarshi sir, UGC Emeritus Professor and former professor and head, Department of Environmental Science, Savitribai Phule University. I, on behalf of the Department of Geography, Guwahati University, offer our thanks to you for your kind presence and also for your valuable speech. The contribution of 3 founders of the Department of Geography, Guwahati University, have been nicely highlighted by our 3 respected teachers. As speaker of this lecture, they are Professor Abani Kumar Bhagavati sir, Professor Ashok Kumar Bhara sir, and Professor Vimal Kumar sir, who were the former head of our department. I offer sincere thanks to all of you for your nice presentation on the contribution of the founder teachers of the Department of Geography, Guwahati University. We are highly grateful and thankful to Professor Devendra Prakash Singh sir, Director of Researches, Institute for Environmental Research and Rural Development, and Vice President of NAGI, who has been very efficiently coordinating and networking the entire lecture series devoted to the founders and makers of modern geography in India. Please accept our heartfelt thanks once again. I also offer thanks to Professor Modesty Das Madam, Professor and former head, Department of Geography, Guwahati University, for smoothly conducting this meeting as convener of this online lecture. Our thanks also goes to Dr. Subhajdi Soharia sir, Professor and present head of the Department of Geography, Guwahati University, for delivering his welcome address in this meeting. We also thank Professor Rana P.B. Singh sir, Professor Rana Pratap Singh sir, Sri Kumar Sattopadhyay sir, for their brief encouraging speech and comments and suggestions. We thank our thanks are also due to Dr. Ambarish Kumar Rai, Assistant Professor of Geography, GKS University, Dr. Omid Kumar, Assistant Professor of RD College, Mungar University, and Dr. Manoj Jutinath, Assistant Professor of Geography, Guwahati University, for providing the technical support to us holding this lecture program successfully. Last but not the least, our sincere thanks goes to all the participants, especially the distinguished geographers, respected geography teachers, research scholars, and students joining from various colleges and universities of our country, and also the family members of our founder teachers for their kind presence in this auspicious lecture program. So thank you Once again to you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nityananda, for your elaborate and detailed vote of thanks. Thank you so much. I have now two requests to be made. First request is we should all show our face because I have to take one picture, group photograph. So we have to click onto our videos, switch on to our videos. And the second request is we will now have the national anthem. And for that, I will request all of you to kindly mute your microphone because the entire episode is being live casted. So first of all, we'll take a group photograph and we will have the national anthem. Thank you. May I now request Dhanjit Deka to kindly play the national anthem, and I request all guests and dignitaries to kindly rise for the national anthem. Dr. Dhanjit Deka, kindly play the music.
Let us start. अधिनायक जय हे भारत पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा
विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा